Welcome back to the Wanks FPL podcast. I am joined, as always, by FPL Mack and FPL Vibes FC. This time we're talking Wildcard 24 for Mack, and for Sharpe and I, just Gameweek 24, which just feels bad. It's not fun to see your buddy Wildcard and you not. But yeah,
hold on. We're going to go through scores. I absolutely want to hear nothing out of you.
Oh no, you'll hear plenty from me. I heard all the hate last week. I stored it right here, and now it's
You want to remind me what hate that was?
all the what was the title of the episode?
A week without yapping.
A yap-free week. I love it.
Some of this too.
Yeah, it is also good. You've been spending a lot of time in the cone lately, Sharpe, and that feels right. I like that.
And you know what's crazy? You are still 5 times my rank.
Yeah, that's facts. We're coming though. Coming back.
Sure.
No, in all honesty, I mean, that's a good spot to start. In all honesty, this is depressing. This is just depressing. Mack made some gains, but him and I are similarly just kind of flatlining, have been for a little bit. Kind of actually all three of us really are. But yeah, I thought maybe I'd have a good enough week to pop the top million. Still not there. Still can't do it. Yeah, you guys are kind of hanging on in the similar spots you've been. Nice healthy green for Mack on the wild card though.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it like a week old vegetable green. Like could have been higher for reasons I'll get into a little later. But
100%. But to Sharpe's point, we both gained in the mini league a little bit, and that's what really matters. We're getting a little bit closer, just edging right up there towards the old cone, man. I love to see it.
I just love that you kind of started negative on yourself and you were the highest scorer this week and have a ridiculous gain in the mini. So I don't know what you're on right now.
I mean, truthfully, I'm pretty good week. Happy about my team for the first time in a very long time. But I really thought I'm still frustrated that I can't even crack top mill with that. Like it feels like such a mountain to climb to get back to something relevant, but neither here nor there. Yeah, happy with the week for sure.
I can pretend to understand that, but like when I'm sad, no one else gets to be sad. So
yeah, but don't you deserve it?
Yeah, you deserve it.
Like we know who you are. The viewers know who you are.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you guys for keeping up with all the shit talk of the Three Wanks podcast and its mini. Let's start with our cone bearer in FPL Vibes. Honestly, not a bad week, just not as good of weeks as Mack and I had, but talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great. I still missed my green by 5 points, which was certainly disappointing. The Saka news obviously hurt, but hurt everyone. Gabriel's still solid. The Tark, the Everton clean sheet 2 weeks in a row, getting wiped late, seriously hurts. It's upsetting, and I think they're starting to run out of playable games, which is even more upsetting, and I think the Tark streak may come to an end. But other than I had 3 guys return right in the front with JP, Holland, and Bruno. I mean, shout out to JP coming on and just continuing to be him through this run. That's big. But my midfield certainly is looking a bit questionable and needs, I think, a little bit of an overhaul. So that's forefront of my mind. I think the other than the 3 starters, like I need to find a new defense too. So game week wise, I had some highs, mostly consistent lows across the board though, and a disappointing result.
The interesting thing about this is like for 85% of the season, I would say 58 points is a great score. Like it's just been such a low scoring. I'm not sure I've broken 100 once this season. And 2 years ago, week 1, I had like 120 points the first week. So it's weird that for once people remembered how to play soccer is my conclusion.
I was thinking about that earlier. It feels like, I mean, this season has been weird just in general, low scoring on the whole, but this week felt like a vintage, like all the high priced attackers who you'd kind of assume were going to returned and multiple times in certain cases and stuff. Like we haven't had this in forever. And I was like, oh, it's fun. If nothing else, it's fun just to see goals.
When's the last time like a highly owned asset aside from Holland even just got like a brace? Like
yeah, seriously. Well, Tiago every week that we don't have him. Semenyo
True.
every week that we don't have him.
This is a what not to do podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Sharpe, you're saying overhaul. Like, I honestly think that's a slight overreaction. I feel like Saka needs to go, but once you get somebody in for him, like, I don't think when you see my defense, you're going to be like, oh, my defense is okay. So I think you're fine.
Sort of. And I'm looking, I guess, specifically at next week with Gay playing Liverpool. They might have figured it out. They might not have. I don't know. I'm losing faith in Everton's defense in a total. Partially because they've blown these last 2 clean sheets in disappointing fashion, but also because their fixtures do get harder throughout the rest of the season. So that's unfortunate. And then I'm looking at the guys that I have. I have Fulham playing Everton next week. So that's 4 guys on my team trying to play each other. So that's kind of where my head's at when I say those things.
Yeah. But on the whole, I don't think your template is too far off. But I am excited to talk through your soccer replacements.
Yeah.
Cool. Mack, you want to go?
Yeah, I think so.
The big 6-9 on the wild card.
Yeah, the big 6-9. Very nice. Had to do it. So mature. So this is the wildcard squad that I ended up rolling out. I landed on keeping Rodgers. One of the main debates I was coming down to at the deadline was, do I pick up Semenyo? That would have required me to drop down Krupi to Amane. Ended up just keeping Rodgers because I knew I wouldn't be playing him in the next 3-ish game weeks, and then his fixtures turn. So we'll see if that one pays off. Mane maybe looks like a better pick now that Arsenal have the confirmed double, but Krupi did score. So nothing to complain about there from a debate perspective. And then, I had 69 points. Senesi scored, which was awesome. I guess maybe I shouldn't have played Guehi over Alderte in hindsight. Alderete. It's
the Brad Pitt.
It's the Brad Pitt Inglorious Bastards. It's stuck in my head. Arrivederci. So now I just call him Alderte.
Oh, that's awesome. Never mind. Yeah, keep that.
No, I'm glad you at least knew where I was going with that. So Senesi got a huge. I was pretty worried, because honestly, I watched that game, and I thought Wolves could add a couple. So I was pretty worried, but Senesi somehow managed to pull it out, get the clean sheet. Gabriel obviously cleaned. Yeah, DEFCON. So we got the 8-pointer. Chalobah and Guehi, whatever. I had some concerns about the Chelsea defense. I would say that they heavily rotated, didn't start 7 of their starters, which I think we'll get into a little bit later. So I'm not too surprised that they conceded 2 goals in the first half, subbed on their starters, and then had a clean sheet for the rest of the game. So whatever, right? We don't pick our players for 1 week theoretically, unless you're wildcarding next week, but I just did. So pretty standard run for the midfield and the forwards. I will say the vibe shift in the Chelsea game from an 8-minute concession and Enzo and João Pedro not starting to last minute Enzo to João Pedro assist goal. I'm a Spurs fan, so I should never be cheering for Chelsea, but I was having a great time. Fun week for the first time in a while. I think the big call here, though, and the mistake that I made is right now I'm 607K. I would probably be sub 500K if I had just captained the right player. You can see that I have it on Rice, and that was news to me when Sharpe told me when we were watching the games that I captained Rice, because my dumbass was organizing my players by color so they looked nice, and I was looking at this team a lot on Friday. Had a lot of time in my hands. Must have subbed Bruno off, causing the chip to go to Rice, and just didn't even catch it. So, I lost 100K ranks from that, which is just pretty absurd. But you gotta, with an overall good week, you gotta take the hits where they are.
Yeah, and I honestly, I'm surprised that between the 3 of us, something like that hasn't happened already this season. For us to have gotten through Gameweek 24 doing that happened to me multiple times last season. Where I transferred in a player and left them on my bench or did some dumb shit like that. So it happens. 2 things. First of all, as soon as I saw your locked team, I was like, the fuck is Rodgers doing on your bench? Get him in for Senesi. So good on you not listening to me there.
Yes, you did text me that, and I was like, no, man.
What a wild world where Bournemouth keep the clean. And Senesi continues to just be a dog in terms of DEFCON. So that's great. And then on obviously the João Pedro thing, I suppose we can get to it a little bit later, but I was on the opposite end of it. I was like, hell yeah, benched, minutes risk, nice. He was my second biggest threat of the week. And I was like, perfect, exactly what we needed. I didn't go there, so that's perfect. just what a turn of fortune. And now that he's scored and assisted, I think that makes his minutes even more locked going forward, probably. So
yeah, I mean, again,
it flipped completely on its head.
Something to get into in the Chelsea section, but I have some thoughts on Liam Delap and like João Pedro minute security, just having watched the FA Cup game midweek.
Yeah, cool. I barely outscored Mack this week because I took a hit.
What's your score?
Oh wait, this is hang on, this is
a
the wrong
bust
thing.
team.
Wrong thing. Because I took a hit. And to his point, if he had captained the right player, I would not be ahead of him. I did go with Holland like Sharpe, rip. And honestly, okay, I want to touch on that really briefly. I still think that was potentially the right call. Obviously, outcome Bruno hits, and Bruno in general has such a diversity of ways that he can get points. So in that sense, I think going forward, he's like a really consistent captaincy option. But there was so many times where Holland should have scored something and he didn't, especially in that first half. So it's unfortunate. He gets the assist. He definitely should have at least had a goal and an assist and just doesn't do it. And City looked horrible in that second half. So
I've been telling you for weeks that Spurs own City, and you didn't believe me. And that's on you.
Got it. Hey, it is what it is. Yeah, going through the rest of the squad. Raya and net keeps the clean, double clean for Arsenal. Chow, Newcastle just capitulated against Liverpool. That was a play that I kind of had to make. Didn't really know what else to do. Didn't have a great option, and he made me pay for it. Alderete with the 6-pointer. No Defcon. Rice, Bruno, Enzo, Bumo blanks. I definitely want to touch on him more when we're talking about soccer replacements for you, Sharpe. Bowen scores off a cross. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Sanchez just continues to Sanchez. That guy is fucking hilarious.
Dude, the fact when they signed him from Brighton, I was like, there's no way there's this team that has spent $1 billion assigning that dude to be their starting keeper. And the fact that they didn't go in for Donnarumma was still mind blowing for me. And like 1 week he looks like Adonis, like a god, and then the next week he just can't play. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't understand him at all. Like he doesn't make sense to me as a player. I will say on the Enzo return, again, we can touch more on Chelsea section, but I wonder, this one just feels like he was not present for most of the game. And I was texting you guys like, fucking, where is this guy? And then he just comes out of nowhere. And that's what he does, to be fair, but it's just wild. I don't know how much longer that can keep up.
I guess, but I saw some tweets about him turning in the Bruno G, and I think it's pretty accurate. In terms
I agree.
How the fuck do you get those points? Because he was playing. He's like the start of their buildup. I feel like so many times. So he's so far back, and then all of a sudden he just lucks. I mean, it's not luck, but whatever. He's
a box crasher.
Yeah, and it's so annoying. Because I don't want to buy him, but I also don't want to get fucking torched by him. So here we are.
I don't think that at this point, if you haven't gone for X Chelsea asset, I don't think you need to. And I think you could apply that to any Chelsea asset right now. Just because that run is so short and we're already one game through it, specifically defensively tough. But I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't be doing that same way. I'm not going for João Pedro, but obviously it's team specific, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'd like to agree, disagree. Like, I think if you have 0 Chelsea assets, maybe getting 1 in, even though it's like for 3 weeks, like isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
If you have transfers to spare and you're like relatively happy with your team, I would not be chasing all 3. The only reason I have 3 is because I have a wild card and I have a plan, right? And I don't think that you should immediately be taking a lesson of go for Chalobah, go for Enzo, go for João Pedro. So
yeah, I just think of it as you're taking 2 transfers, and
yes,
none of these guys are super locked for starts considering how tight some of their games are over the next few weeks. I mean, maybe Enzo's the closest, and again, I think João Pedro probably locked in his place with the returns that he's had, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The only other player to touch on is Ekitike. That one felt especially good because I texted you guys a couple weeks ago that like once I committed to the plan that I did a couple weeks ago, I was like, the whole thing was I was keeping Ekitike for a while and hoping that other people would get rid of him and he'd be a little bit of a differential. And now, he probably won't be because I'm sure people are buying him again, but that paid off. And so that was a good bet. The problem of what I've done with myself in this team, I fucking love my attack now. Like every player I'm good on. I don't want to touch it. The problem is my defense is just such garbage. So it's come at a cost for sure. And we'll talk about that in transfer plans as well. All right. Well, then I feel like we should just start on Chelsea West Ham because we've been itching to talk about it so much already. tale of two halves. This and the City game were both the same, where it just felt like one half, one team is dominant, the other half, another team is dominant. Chelsea couldn't do fucking anything in the first half. To your point, Mac, they had a lot of bench players in, ultimately made big substitutions at halftime and came back and beat West Ham. I think the notes there for me are just that, I mean, West Ham has done this a few times in a row now where they're showing that they have a little bit better attacking threat. That's a saving grace as a Bowen owner. I don't think if you're not there, you should necessarily go there. But helps me out. Alternatively, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of Chelsea on the whole under Rossignol. They played Arsenal today, lost to them in whatever cup that was. They're not going to double anymore, but I'm just curious, like, where you guys are at on both from an attacking side and a defensive side go forward. And then obviously with their fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, I like João Pedro. I think, like I said, he's kind of been him over the past 4 weeks, where he's double-digit returning for us. And I think he's proven that he can keep doing that. I think Delap looks bad. I just don't think he's ready or whatever it is, but I don't think he's there. So having João Pedro is pretty exciting for me. Defensively, no reason in my mind to go after them, so I'm staying off of them. I'll let Mac touch more on like how they look in the new manager, but West Ham, what excites me or what has caught my eye is Somerville over their last few Prim games, but also their games outside of the Prim where he's been involved in goals consistently and looked really good for a really cheap asset. Him and Bowen seem to be the only two players they actually have. And like we said, like it's hard to read into this first half at all because Chelsea played no one that they care about. And it's kind of speaks to how shit West Ham are in the total that you can make subs at halftime and turn it around like this and beat them.
Yeah.
They're
trash.
I have to agree with everything you said. On West Ham, Somerville has been a little bit of a bright spark for them. So good signing. I think they got him in January, right? He's like fairly new. Also, I think everyone's been. Do you disagree? Was he not new, Luke?
I don't know if that's right, but I'm not positive.
I thought he was. Maybe not. They signed someone else. I don't follow the West Ham squad that much.
I don't think he's new, but I think he came back. I think he was out for a little while.
I think that's right. I think he was injured.
That's why he just appeared like a comet in the night sky. I know we've all been like locked in for West Ham getting relegated all season, but
they're making a charge.
They're making a little bit of a charge. I got to be honest, because if you believe that at this point in Gameweek 25 that City can still catch Arsenal, the gap is 6 points. West Ham are only 6 points behind Nottingham Forest. That's all I'm saying. Now, we're not going to bring up the fact that they're only 9 points behind Spurs, but 6 points is achievable, 9 points is impossible. Don't worry. So West Ham, but I think the real lesson from watching this game, because we were watching it live, was just complete mental capitulation in the second half. Like it speaks to Chelsea just being able to sub on their starters,
right? But
also just like West Ham should have won that game. I mean, you go up 2-0 as a Prem team, you don't really have an excuse to like throw that away. Even if they're subbing on their better players shouldn't be able to influence a 3-goal comeback in 45 minutes. It was just so sad. And then my thoughts on Chelsea were just that, like, Rossignol said that he was going to rotate a lot. So he did, right? They got a lot of games, as Luke said. And, I think we can expect rotation from them, period. I think that they look a little bit raw. I've been watching them really heavily over the last couple of weeks, just because I knew I was probably going to wildcard in 24. And I was like, how much should I commit to Chelsea? And, I think it's touted a lot, but they have the youngest squad, right? And when I watch them, they just look immature. They just like make mistakes. So for that reason, I probably also wouldn't go to Chelsea assets defensive assets despite having them. But I got to say, I'm like pleasantly surprised by their offense. I didn't really think it would work. And having watched the replay of the FA Cup game midweek, Liam Delap looked like shit. Like, not gonna lie, he looked horrible. I don't know if that's just injury return or not. But yeah, it felt like they're starting to put some together. They know who their guys are, and one of the big issues we've had with them is we didn't know where the goals were going to come from with Chelsea, but now we do. Now we know it's going to be Enzo or João Pedro, and it seems like João Pedro is getting more consistent minutes in the games that matter. So I'm like pleasantly surprised by Chelsea.
And Cole Palmer just continues to be a nothing burger. Like, what a weird player to have. I don't really understand the management of that, but that's a whole nother thing. Regardless, he's not an FPL option. I don't really know anybody who could disagree with that. I don't get it.
Well, like hypothetical, if your best player has the option of playing like once every 3 weeks and poorly because he's injured, or you just lose him until he heals, is it like not like a 10 out of 10 to just let him heal? Like that's the weirdest part about this whole saga is like I feel like he just hasn't been healthy since the spring, and that's when his goals dried up.
I heard that it actually may be his choice because it's a World Cup year and he wants to play. So I heard that maybe he didn't want to get surgery himself. I don't know how that stuff works, like when the club can make the decision versus the player. But yeah, what a weird fucking set of circumstances. Luckily, they have a million players, so they can always just put somebody else in and it's fine. But Enzo does seem, out of everyone in the team, outside of Sanchez, probably the most minutes secure. I say that and he'll miss out a game, but it seems like he's really central. You know, he's been the captain for the team. He doesn't miss a whole lot of minutes. To Sharpe's point, he's key in a lot of the buildup and a lot of what they're trying to do, like on all aspects of the field. So I think he's a solid shout in that sense, but I don't think he's all that from an attacking perspective. I really think the Bruno G comp is incredibly accurate. Sharpe, like he's just a box-to-box player who is finding ways to get points, but is not like a dominant force in any way. I think João Pedro has a higher ceiling in that sense of being able to potentially bag a couple goals. And, you know, again, going into this weekend, I would have been like, but he could easily be rotated. And sure enough, but now I don't think that's true anymore. So could be wrong. He could still miss some minutes here and there, but, you know, if you have him, obviously keep him. I think I'm in the camp of I wouldn't invest, but neither here nor there. Also, João Pedro, I thought maybe it was all going to come to a close when he fucking pushed Adama Traore and stared death straight in the face. Like I thought he was going to get the shit kicked out of him and then he'd be injured for a while. But
you know,
that was my favorite part.
Everybody's talking about that part, but for me, it's the fact that Cucurella just got ragdolled.
Threw him. Bro, Adama's a UFC fighter in fucking soccer clothing. He is such a hilarious player to watch.
You know, when people talk about the Prem being like the most physical league in the world, that's what I mean. Like, yeah. you just threw another guy.
And the funny part is, like, I don't understand soccer fouls in that sense. Like, he got nothing for that. Zero.
I think he got a yellow.
Did he get a yellow? I don't even know if he got a yellow. You could be right, but
I think he did. And then whoever fucking chokeholded, tried to choke slam. That was insane.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That was a crazy game.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Hilarious end of the game. Yeah, this gave me a lack of confidence in Chelsea's defense. Not to say like, Mack, you're fucked because you have them. Their fixtures are still that good. And just because they didn't keep it clean in this one doesn't mean they'll not keep it clean in those next ones. And they have great fixtures. They probably will. It's just, if you were going to buy a Chelsea defensive asset ahead of these 4 fixtures, you're probably hoping for 3 cleans. And so now they have to go get 3 cleans. But, you know, not the end of the world.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. Like, basically, here's my thoughts on the Chelsea defense. I am intentionally taking a punt to try to gain rank, right? If I was up in the 251K, I would not have them, like, because I don't think they're a reliable pick, right? But if I, like, who are you comparing them to? Like, Mark Gahey didn't clean, Senesi cleans, but that's not every game. Tarkowski didn't clean. Like, if you're picking a guy who's most likely to clean in this run of 4 games, I brought him in obviously for last week. Like, sure, they didn't get it done this week, but I don't know of another team that's more likely to do it just when you comp fixtures and like general.
I think that's totally fair.
And so,
obviously, Arsenal, but that's it. Like, outside of that, I agree with you.
Like, I don't think they're a good defense. I'm not like advocating for investing in them, but I just don't think like taking a punt on it altogether is a bad pick. It's just that I have a very clear plan on how to exit them in 28 when they run up into the Arsenal. Like, then I'm out. Like, I will have transfers. I have a plan. I know who I'm getting rid of and who I'm getting.
Right.
So, like, if you're gonna, as you said earlier, bring them in just to bring them out in 2 weeks, like this week, then maybe not. Maybe go for the forwards. But
I think you bring up a good point. Like, I'm stuck. It seems like Sharpe's kind of in the same boat of looking at our defenses and being like, I want somebody different. I have no fucking clue who I would get. There's no one I want. Honestly, the only player who I would potentially be interested is Gahey. And I guess we can jump over to the City game. The only reason I say that is he's maintained that goal threat that he had at Palace, at City. City is now a better defense, in theory. And he's defconning as well. Like, he's just being the same asset he was. Out of all the City players, I don't think he's going to be part of Pep Roulette. I think he's so needed that he's going to be a part of it. I was scared watching the game. I thought he was going to score all the time. And he's like, for me on a threat level, the same as like a Semenyo. So I was terrified that he was going to do something. And obviously he ended up defconning. So even though they didn't clean, worked out. I think he's a great hold. And I'm jealous.
I think he needs to get some more solid legs so he can't get kicked through, But
Yeah.
other than that,
do you guys think that's a foul? Like, by the way,
dude, I don't know.
In no world do I think that's a foul. Like, and I know I'm heavily biased, and so I'll openly acknowledge that. But in my opinion, Solanke was like literally mid kick motion, and he came in. Like, how are you supposed to stop that? Those guys kick the ball at 90 miles an hour.
Yeah. I've seen stuff like that called. That's the thing. Like I have seen that where someone is going for the ball, someone steps in. I mean, that's literally what shielding the ball is, right? You're going for the ball and someone steps in, and that's a foul.
But I don't know. My counterpoint is that like just touching the ball does not absolve you of all wrongdoing in the tackle. Yeah. But like also I think what people are probably more bad of is like the lack of consistency, because you can, for every foul, you can think of 10 fouls that weren't awarded for the same thing.
For sure.
Sorry, random aside. I was just curious.
I don't pretend that there's any consistency in Premier League officiating. I consistently watch it and I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, that? What? And I mean, to the point, I did check. Traore did get a yellow, you're right. But like, how did he fucking throw Cucurella off the field and that's not a red card? Like, that's insane to me. I don't get that. So I'm sure there's some bylaw somewhere that says like no hands on the throat, but you can pick someone up by the hair and toss them into the front row. But
dude, it's the rule of cool. That looks sick.
Dude, the ref is fucking scared. He's like, "Oh, yellow, don't hurt me." You know what I mean? That dude is massive.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Anyway,
I think a lot of what we're looking at here in front of us speaks to certainly don't invest in Tottenham, even if they put 2 up on City, because look at the XG that they had on those goals. Like, again, Solanke just kicked through Gahey's leg and it happened to go in a mess, and then he pulled off a fucking worldie.
Scorpion,
insane. Yeah, it was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, that was gorgeous. He's never doing that again in his life.
Screamed out loud when I saw that goal. I was watching it live and I was just like, I cannot believe what I just saw. Tottenham might get relegated, but we have like 5 contenders for the Puskas. So
I will tell you that you called it. Like you said, you know this team. You know the history of that this was going to happen, because it really, like, again, this really was a tale of two halves. First half, City looked fucking dominant, and it shows here. Again, Haaland had a bunch of big chances that he missed. They put up 2. It looked like they were going to put up 4 by the end of it, and then second half was just Spurs battling back. So
this is my problem with XG, because if you trust your eyes, I also felt that way. City had more XG in the second half, than they did in the first half, apparently.
Yeah, you're right. Just a little bit more. Yeah.
I mean, but if we're talking about how dominant they looked, this is my problem with trusting your advanced analytic bullshit. That's all. Well,
okay, but look at the steps, right? So if you look at the number of steps, it's that City had a few high danger chances, and then Tottenham had a lot of low danger chances. And I think if you look at this in combo with possession metrics, you'd probably see that Tottenham had more of the ball over this time. That's my guess. But there's
more steps for City in the second half than there are for City in the first half.
I think that's probably
ready
right,
to play analytics.
No, I think that's probably right, though. Again, City was controlling the game in the first half. I think the reason it looked so dominant is because Tottenham wasn't doing anything. City was doing the pep ball of pass it around, generate a large chance, return it, pass it around.
So I gotta agree with everything that Luke just said. Having watched the game, I've been spending way too much time analyzing the game. Spurs weren't doing anything in the first half because they don't have a healthy starting 11 at this point. They tried to play a back 5 just to compensate for the fact that their entire starting midfield is out. They're starting, maybe not starting, but backup striker is out. They're starting right wingers out. They're starting other right winger who could play left winger. Cam is out. So they switched to a back 5 system so as to try to do something. And it was just horribly ineffective because some of the people they're playing in that back line, like Dragusin, just can't play in that position. He's a right back trying to play left back after coming back from an ACL injury. So they just didn't do anything. So City were just able to go at them for most of the first half. But they just had a lot of guys back, so they never really got a high quality chance. That Cherokee goal that went in was just terrible defending. Tottenham in the second half switched to a back 4, and that's kind of when the game changed. I only bring that up to say that I was like surprised by how leaky City's defense was in that second half as soon as Tottenham figured out how to put like the barest hint of pressure on them. Like Spurs played well in that second game, but way he looked good. Like eye test, he looked great. But like when Spurs scored, period, I was like not surprised because Spurs truly, it felt like, had much more dangerous chances in the second half. I don't know. It was just interesting.
I also do hear you on, well, first of all, I want to say on Sharpe, your point. Like your point is right, though. I mean, to completely disregard this I think is wrong, but that's my opinion. But like in general, watching the games, this is why we watch the games. This is why you have other stats outside of XG. Like XG isn't everything, which is why when we were looking at a player like Enzo, who generates like the most XG in the league, basically, I was like, all right, he's an XG merchant. You know what I mean? You have to watch the games and understand, is it just that he gets one high danger chance that he misses consistently? Because that's not somebody who's going to score. So yeah, I think it's all in combo with stuff. But on your point there, Mac, like it really is making me sit here and be like, what defenses do we trust? Obviously, you have Arsenal. I think has pushed some people, as I've like seen on Twitter and shit, to go to a triple Arsenal defense, which I really don't think is a bad play because I just don't know where else you go right now.
Well,
and so to your point, it's like City, if you can't trust them defensively, then who can you? Because I can't trust Newcastle. I have them. I don't know who the fuck to trust on the defensive perspective.
Nobody's scoring this year, which is weird. But then at the same time, nobody's keeping clean sheets either. And it's like, how can we have both?
It feels more sudden on the nobody keeping clean sheets. I feel like we're hitting the season where you have, the churn of fixtures has created a lot of injuries at the back for a lot of teams. You have transfers being made and players moving away from teams like Bournemouth, teams like Crystal Palace that we were relying on for a little while. And both those teams have kind of fallen off a cliff. So you're kind of like, all right, I'm trusting the big guys and that's it. And of the big guys, like of the big five, the only teams that you could realistically trust are Arsenal and City, maybe Newcastle. And the latter two that I just said in that, I don't even believe as I'm saying it. So
I cannot believe you just big five does. But no, I think my real conspiracy, or not even remotely conspiracy theory on this, is just that I think that the quality of the Prem has risen to such a level that even like shitty teams, like historically shitty teams, I might add, are much more dangerous. Like watching the Wolves game, like they're going to get relegated, but that kid Mane in the game actually looked great, and he did score a goal that was disallowed. And I was like, it's really interesting that like Wolves have just like a kid of this quality, because I don't think they would have a couple of years ago. I mean, I think Brighton's like the 15th ranked team in the world or something like that from like a revenue standpoint. Like Brighton, like respectable club, they're doing great things, but it's just like that's pretty crazy. So I just think that as like the midfield rises and it's not as much of a walk off to play West Ham, they can still put two up on Chelsea.
Yeah,
but I don't know what we do about that as from an FPL perspective. Is maybe my conclusion.
Speaking of a defense, or sorry, go ahead, Sharpe, if you got something else.
No, you're fine. I mean, nothing crazy. I think it just comes down to targeting bad offenses, targeting Wolves, Burnley, etc., and then targeting DEFCON guys more so than clean sheet guys.
And that's to Mack's point, right, of the Chelsea defense and why it's still viable potentially. And I honestly can't disagree. I'm okay that I'm not there. I'm not scared of it anymore. But at the same time, like they're playing Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley, and they could easily clean all of the next three, and I wouldn't be shocked. So it's, to your point. Speaking of United or defenses that suck, let's talk about United. It does not matter who they play. They fucking suck defensively. But I mean, what a fun, like, I love watching their games, I will say. Like the back and forth is always electric. Relevant to FPL. Anybody who is stupid enough to invest in their defense couldn't surely be still holding on to their assets like me and Sharpe. So nobody is dealing with that, but you do have the attacking assets that matter in this game. You have now under, why am I forgetting the manager's name? Carrick. Now under Carrick, you have a little bit of a minutes risk in Cunha. You have Sesko trying to fit in there. You have Mbumo playing at striker. Bruno looks somehow even better. Just little like season review on when we were talking about how shitty he was and I brought him in and he got -1 and all that stuff. Like he's fully turned it around. Mbumo didn't look as involved in this game. And that's an eye test. I feel like, I think his underlying still showed quite a bit of involvement, but it really felt like he was not as active as he normally is. He's still on those right-sided corners, but definitely was like noted to me that he wasn't as involved. But personally, as a Buma owner, I'm not worried. I'm curious where you guys are at with United assets. Is there potentially we're overlooking cheaper guys, potentially Sesko, potentially Ahmad, but otherwise, like, do you guys think having Bruno and Bumo is kind of essential go forward, or do you think just Bruno is fine? There seems like there's a lot of alternatives in that Bumo price space. So I think you could go a lot of different ways with it. Bumo might be the best option there, but he also might not. Did this game give you guys any clarity on that?
It continued to give me more confidence in Bruno. I think he's more essential than Haaland at this point for the remainder of time, which is something I never thought I would say about anyone. So Bruno, after him, I think you could take or leave a lot of guys. Bumo, it gave me less confidence in him, obviously with a lack of return compared to the last two games. Do I think you can still have him? Yes, but as you mentioned, I think he's pretty interchangeable with a Verts right there, Semenyo, 0.5 mil cheaper. Like, you certainly have options where if you went one of those guys, I'm not going to bat an eye at you. I think the unfortunate guy, and I only say this because I have called him out more than once this season, whether it be to you guys or in my head, because I've put him in my team a lot of time during my fake transfers, is Casemiro. Like, I know it sounds weird. I get that it sounds weird, but he was super cheap. But I think right now you still, even with we're talking about expensive guys returning, you still have really cheap guys that are great options. You have Anderson at Forest being a 4-point floor. You have Iari, who I called out to Mack last week, getting another assist this week.
I'm still not going there.
I know it's fine, but it's a 4.8 guy who's been consistent over the last 3, 4, 5 games.
No, you're not wrong. Like, even to go to defense, James Hill, who I don't actually know if his first name is James at all. Hill from Bournemouth. I don't know where I got James from. Hill
you gotta stick with the confidence, bro. I like it.
He got like
you were right, James Hill.
Was that really?
Mm.
He got big points last week. He's 3.9 million, 7 points last week on Bournemouth. So you're right about the cheap players, like, very viable.
Yeah. So all of that to say, the only one I think is essential is Bruno. Other guys, again, wouldn't bet an eye at Bumo, but outside of that, I don't think you need a single one.
Mac?
Yeah, sorry, I jumped in the middle there, but I completely agree with everything that Sharpe just said. I will say I feel like this is the classic new manager bounce a little bit. Like, I'm watching them. A lot of these goals have been outstanding goals. And you could argue that they have great players, and great players should score those goals. But I'm also a little bit like, okay, so we got 3 games. Nobody knows how Carrick's going to line up. He comes out. He does his thing. Every game it's suited for the opposition, but, like, everybody knows that the opposition's then watching United. So I think the longer they have the new manager, the more time that they have to watch United, more teams will have a chance to settle, right? And they don't actually have amazing games coming up. Like, they're pretty middle of the road.
I feel like the next 3 are pretty amazing, but after that,
yeah, I mean, like, they're all like fine. Beyond that, though, like, nobody else is hot, so I don't really feel like there's a reason not to go into the United midfields. Like, if you brought up Semenyo, that's a good point. We've been getting punished by not having him, and again, bummed I didn't bring him in last week. But price has kind of fallen off. We only think that we're on the Chelsea assets for like a limited period of time, probably. So who else are you going to grab and hold for the rest of the season?
Yeah, there he is.
But even if you have Mbumo, and then you could still do Verts, Fernandez.
You could. Your last two are how much money do you have?
That's not a crazy.
You'd have to probably divest of a forward, but it is doable. I see what you're saying.
Like, I already have Mbumo. So mine is the same price as Rice and Rogers, damn near. Then you drop down to Anderson.
Oh, Rice for me is like 7.2 in my team. So that's 0.6 that I need to find. Rogers is 7.6. Anyway, doesn't matter. Verts, I think, it's to all of this. And with the turn in Liverpool fixtures, I totally could see. One thing I'm going to say, I know we switched. I like it. I like the switch. It made me excited. I think part of this is United at, like, it's a law of averages. The amount of goals that hit the post where they just didn't finish in the first half of the season that they probably should have is now oh, look at that, we can put it in the back of the net. And so maybe it will regress a little bit, but I think there's some talent here that's just finally putting it together.
I might be able to find it, but I did see something saying that over the last 6 or 5 that United was, I think they were top of the chart for outperforming their XG. So I think there's some data to back that up for sure.
You think they are overperforming right now?
Yeah.
Okay, and Sharpe's point is that they were underperforming in the beginning of the season?
Right, so now it's paying off, yeah.
Okay.
And so I do think that's true, but I guess my perspective on United is just that, like, yes, they're under a new manager and you have to change your beliefs based on that and like adjust, I suppose. But I just think that this team is built for attack, you know, and they've showed all season that they can be a consistent attack even when they don't have what I thought was a competent manager. I thought he was pretty incompetent. So now that they have somebody at the helm who is competent and is going to be able to feed those players, and they already look even better than they did before, I'm high on it. The question for me, I think, with Bumo is, one, are his minutes as secure as they were under Amarim, which I don't know. And unfortunately, I think you and I, Mac, are just kind of at the whim of that for now. I think it's fine. I wouldn't imagine they're going to bench him too often. It's been Cunha who's made way most of the time, but they just have too many attackers for the amount of spots they have. So I do worry about that. As far as Bumo, like, getting his returns, I think he's a baller. My perspective is don't overthink it. I think he's really good. But when we get into this, obviously it's going to become extraordinarily relevant when we're talking through Sharpe's transfer plans. Like, how do you rank your, like, Wirtz, Semenyo, Bumo, and maybe you could even throw like a Rodgers in there. Like, how do you rank those guys and who do you go get if you're in exactly Sharpe's position? I think is a really fair conversation because there's minutes risks for all three, really. Maybe not Wirtz. And then there's also just like consistency risks in each one. And then also, if you already have Bruno, maybe going for the double up in United isn't smart. Maybe you want to diversify because they can cannibalize each other. And if United have a bad game, which they're very capable of doing, you're not screwed in that sense. But
you brought up a good point, though. Like, they were a good attack when they were a bad team, right? I'd hope they would be, because they have a manager, or they did have a manager at a back five and signed no defensive players. Like, it doesn't feel like setting them up for success there, but they bought the 3 most available attackers in the market, and those guys are doing good things. Like, they're good players. So
yeah, 100%. Going on to Liverpool, obviously Ekitike scores a couple here, and it's worth noting he could have had more. He actually bottled a couple chances. So exciting from that perspective. I think Ekitike, like we've been saying it all year, he deserves his flowers because when he does play, he is just consistently a scorer, somebody who is just able to put the ball in the net, however simply you want to make that. But the difference now, one, Salah is just, I don't understand how he is still struggling at the level he is. But now Wirtz has finally found his footing, it seems, right? He's getting involved more in goals and assists. I will say it's still like when you get into that final third, he somehow still has the tendency to like fade a shot and then like miss the pass. Sometimes that's really, I think if I owned him, just from a like mental health perspective, would be infuriating to watch. But he's been returning relatively consistently over the last few weeks. He looks good. Yeah, I think he's a genuine option. And we were talking like offline about fixtures over the next few. Arsenal have incredible fixtures from now until the end of the year. And then after this week against City, Liverpool have incredible fixtures from now till the end of the year. United, on the other hand, have nice short-term fixtures, but not so much long-term. And then City, where is City? They have some pretty nice ones to end the year as well. So I really think you could make the case for any one of those guys we were just talking about for consistent mids at that price that we all have the money for the rest of the season. And it's really like you could probably hold any one of them for the rest of the year. The only caveat there is that City, I think because they won today, will blank in 31. So if you were to get Semenyo, you'd have to have a plan for how you're going to bench him that week. But we're looking ahead there. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on Wirtz? Do you think that he is genuinely a good option now? Where are you at on him?
I mean, I will say as his biggest hater all season, that I'm buying in, and so dumb because they hurt me every week emotionally as a fan. So now I'm just going to double down on that pain. But I do think he has become so essential to every pass attack play that we have that you have to have him in there. Not have to have him in there, but I think you can understand having him in there. But you're always going to run the risk of hot and cold. I mean, look at his last 6, 10-3, 10-3, 12. So he's up and down without a doubt. I think he's a priority. He's who I'm looking at. I just hate that they play City this week, and I need to make a transfer this week. So I've thought about him a lot. I'm going to derail a little bit. I hate that we signed Isak. I said it when I saw Ekitike play the first 2 game weeks. It's like, we got one. We're good. Like, we don't need to go spend that money. And I hate the way that Isak plays because he plays so deep, it feels like, and he's so lackadaisical whenever he was on the pitch. So I'm excited for Ekitike. I hope he continues to put it together. I'm a fan of his for sure. And Salah, the way he's struggling is his own fault. His decision-making is so bad right now, and I don't understand that at all.
We were watching the game live, and I just felt like he had total lack of confidence, which is so weird for Mo Salah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, too, because, I mean, jokingly, Sharpe made the point a couple weeks ago of like, oh, okay, but he's balling out at AFCON. And, I mean, different level of competition, but still, like, you would think that he would get back on that mental horse and would be able to come back. It's also a world-class player we're talking about. We're not talking about some random guy on Fulham. Like, it's I don't understand it. I'm with you guys.
And I will say I blamed it a lot on Slot. I still blame things on Slot. Don't get me wrong.
I still blame a lot of it on Slot.
Yeah, but at the beginning of the season, he wasn't even getting those opportunities after the first 2 or 3 game weeks. This game, he had opportunities, and he put one in the side net that he absolutely should not have done. And he just seems to shoot when he should pass and pass when he should shoot, and it's crazy.
Or even last year, I know that there's an element of like form in all things, but he was lights out on every shot. And that's why he's been the king of FPL for years. So to watch him just like take those terrible shots all game was really, really strange. Like not passing the eye test in the biggest of ways.
For you guys that don't own Ekitike, what is your thought process there? Are you comfortable with that as a threat going forward? Is that somebody that you're looking to make way for in your attack, or where are you guys at on that? Am I right that neither of you guys have him?
No, I don't have him.
Yeah.
I traded my Wildcard this past week, conveniently enough.
Classic.
I brought in Joe Pedro. It was 3-point difference.
No, in all honesty, I think that's like, yeah, he came off the bench and he scored damn near as many points. So I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard when you look at this because you can't just look at strikers and you got to look at the front 8 as a whole.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out where you want to invest because Mack just put together, I think 4 or 5, 7.5 to 8 to 9.4 with Bruno, but midfielders in there that are all fantastic that you could have, or do you invest this much in Ekitike when you could come down to Thiago maybe when he gets a better run, JP right now, insert guy.
And do you, save any money for defense? Because otherwise you're in my position and you're like, which 3.8 mil defender do I like this week?
Yeah, to go to Hillman. He's the next
no, I honestly think I might. I was going to talk to you guys about that. Okay, Villa Brentford is one I guess we can talk about. Just I kind of want to do a heat check again. I know we did this a couple weeks ago on Rodgers, where you guys are at temperature wise there. Brentford obviously get like a relatively early red card, if I remember right. I think it was like in the 20th minute or something. And Aston Villa dominate possession. They, are able to generate XG, but not like anything super, not any really big chances, just a lot of little chances. And they end up losing. So saw something today that Watkins should be back relatively soon, whether it's this weekend or for the following game. So in that sense, not too long to worry, but this was bad. I just don't know what the level of panic is if I was a Rodgers owner.
The Sharpe red card was at 42 minutes. And look at that line up until right at like 43 minutes. Like it's flat.
Yeah.
So not great, even pre-red card. Yeah, as a Rodgers owner, I said this on the pod when I was talking about bringing in Rodgers last week or keeping him because I already had him. I was like, if we look at the Aston Villa team, Ollie Watkins has gotten injured. John McGinn has gotten injured. Tielemans has gotten injured. And that just leaves Rodgers from their front 4, who has been the front 4 that has been bringing them up to 3rd, where they, I think, currently reside still. They're 2 points back. They're 1 point back on Manchester City. But like when 3 of your starting 4 goes out and 3 very important players at that, I had questions about like, are they going to be able to get it done? That being said, they didn't look like as bad as I expected. I think my bigger takeaway was that like Brentford were kind of all game. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't have too much to say on the Brentford, especially like, you know, if you had a red card at half, I kind of just give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, to be fair though, Thiago, it's worth noting, has blanked for the last few weeks. He's someone who I have earmarked for 28 when his fixture run starts, but if he continues blanking, I might have to reconsider. Yeah, I don't know. Where are you at on Roger Sharpe?
He's so indifferent. It's just unfortunate he costs 7.6 right now, I think is my takeaway. I don't feel like I have to get him out, especially because in, what is it? Is it 28 as well for them or 27? I believe that their fixtures
27.
their fixtures are just nice. And so
They
to
really
me,
are.
it's like he's not a priority to get out, so he's going to sit there. That's, I guess, my take. I wouldn't go to him until 27. I think that's the same take I had last week.
See, I think now is a fine entry point, like just from a fixture perspective, but to the point Mack made of, you know, do they need to get guys back? Then yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be buying Rodgers right now, I don't think, despite the fixtures. So I don't know though. He also, like, all year has been this guy of goes cold, gets on a hot streak, scores a couple bangers. Like, he doesn't need everything to be generating him a ton of chances. He just needs to get the ball in an open space 10 yards past the box and just rip it. So it could come at any moment, I feel like. But at the same time, I would understand the frustration and maybe why you would get rid if you're looking at somebody in this bracket, like the Semenyos and the Wirtzes of the world.
Yeah, I realized I never said my conclusion out loud, but I also don't think you need to like run in for Rodgers right now. That being said, the reason I opted to keep him was because the run turns in 27, and then I think he's a lock for the rest of the season, just for as a rotational guy. So
100%. I didn't touch on Newcastle's defense in that Liverpool game, but they are just horrid. I think Bruno G, I can go back. Bruno G being out, I didn't think about that before playing Chow. I mean, I didn't really have an option, but you forget that that's kind of the core of Newcastle and their ability to defend well, is that their midfield is so strong. And they were just hung out to dry in this one. They obviously had a short week in terms of, I think they had a Wednesday game, so quick turnaround. But they look fucking shit, man. It's tough.
They were, but they were also playing 4 center backs. So like that's a choice.
Yeah. They're doing things, and it's not turning into clean sheets. And they got just destroyed in this game. So as a Chow owner, not feeling awesome. But that's
I guess the takeaway is don't invest and sell.
Yeah, exactly. Only other thing,
you think they're a sell? You actually, like, I know it's been bad. I know they've looked terrible. But
Dude, we've said this for 15 weeks.
That's so true.
That's the problem. Like, yeah, Chow put up 17 and 10 like in 3 weeks. But outside of that, it's been, well, they should be really good, or they're going to be really good.
Right.
Maybe they're just not.
The wheels are falling off a little bit, to be fair. Like, I really do
100% falling off. Losing 4-1 to Liverpool, and then again in the cup today they lost 3-1. Not great.
I think for a while there we were talking about, this is a team that's keeping like below an XG every game and still somehow conceding. Like, that's where we were at. And
that's where we're still at.
Yeah, but now the wheels are starting to fall off.
Thing I'll say though is Bruno G might come back against Brentford, and then does that change it? That's why I was bringing up, like, is it a sell? Because if they still do have the second lowest XG conceded over the course of the season.
It's definitely a team dependent thing. Like, I mean, okay, so I have Chow, but again, we're talking about where do you go? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Where do you go? Like, there's at that like 5 million price, I can't pick out a defender in my head who I like. Just can't find them. So I'm open to suggestions there, but yeah, I think right now my model of team is where if I was building from scratch, I'd probably be at, to an extent. I would definitely have a Chalobah, last week, like you did, Mac, but just in the sense of investing in a ton of attackers who have been consistent and going cheap in defense and kind of just preying on that a little bit, because like cheap defenders who DEFCON, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't trust anyone to clean outside of Arsenal, or that's the flip side, or do triple Arsenal at the back. Otherwise, fucking, I don't know. The only other player that we haven't talked about that I keep hearing talked about from like other content creators that I don't really get the hype around is people are really high on Sar from Crystal Palace. I'm assuming, Mateta being out and a nice turn of
fixtures, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they've got Brighton, Burnley, Wolves, United, Tottenham, Leeds.
And
so it's worth noting. Yeah, so it's worth noting they do have excellent fixtures. I just don't think I trust Palace at all. I also worry about if Sar is going to be the main man that's relied upon. I had him earlier in the year and he had a hamstring injury. Anytime a player has a hamstring injury in the year, I'm nervous of them re-injuring that if they get overworked again. Players like Saka are a prime example of that. There are guys who continue to just have those recurring injuries. I think Cunha is another one. So it turns me off a little bit, but at the same time, like, it's that question that we've had before, right? Of if you lose players, does the team get worse or does it provide opportunity for another? And I feel like my opinion on this one is that the team just gets worse. And so it now becomes like Crystal Palace v Burnley is actually just kind of a closer matchup than it was before, as opposed to just, they're going to feast. But where are you guys at on that?
Dumb question. Did they sign Strand Larson for in January? Okay.
They did. And Mateta, I guess, is going to get surgery. So he was supposed to go to AC Milan.
He's failed his medical?
Yeah, they checked out his knee, I guess, and he had problems. So
which one of you is playing GTA right now?
It's not me.
That's me. Sorry. We're good. Damn, you can hear that through this? That's not good.
That's the first time.
Loud and clear, boss.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sounded like you're using the audio effects for a second. I think Strand Larson could make it a little more interesting. Like, I think that at least provides something up front to.
But he's been bad. Like, he's on Wolves, so it's hard to like really assess. But it's not like I don't think he's world class. Don't get me wrong.
45 mil does feel like an overpay.
I just feel like he could. He
feels.
Would you
not think that's a better striker than what they would have played?
I honestly, we should look at their lineup. What did they play over the weekend? Because I need to see who was in there. But I feel like it's they just put Pino up there. Interesting.
Well, Pino hasn't been good at all. I think the case that people are making for Crystal Palace that jury's out yet for me is like, I think you'd attribute a lot of the fact that they've been bad recently to the fact that they've had a lot of injuries. Like in the first half of the season, all of us had Richards or Munoz or Guehi. Like they were the highest scoring defense for a large part of the season. And then, like I said, November, December is going to hit and the wheels fell off. But at some point, the wheels are going to come back on. I think that's the argument, is that it's starting to happen because Sar's back from AFCON, Munoz is back, so they're getting their defense. They're keeping Mateta, whether he gets surgery or not, and now they have a backup striker, and they brought Brennan Johnson. So, like, I think the jury is out. Like, we can wait a couple weeks just to see if they pick up any form, but I think that's the argument people are making.
Yeah, that's fair. And let me look, what does Sar cost? He is 6.3, so he gives you a little bit of affordability there if you can save some money.
Pens, Burnley, Wolves in the next 3.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's stinky to me. I don't think I'm going to go there, but yeah.
A lot of people were wildcarding into Munoz, and I didn't go there. I was like,
I don't get that.
I don't get it. Like,
I don't get that one at all. I've heard the same hype. It doesn't make sense to me.
I didn't do it for a reason. Like. But I guess that's the counter argument. It just, they still only got 2 points. Munoz got 2 points last weekend. Sar got 7, I guess, but that was from a pen, right?
Yeah, I just think it's with Munoz, it's like, okay, so his appeal before was that he was an incredibly attacking defender on a decent, if not good, defense. And now he's an incredibly attacking defender on a shit defense. So
he's expensive. He's 5.8.
He's super expensive, and it's like their attack is, if they don't have Mateta, their attack definitely got worse, right? So I just don't know who he's creating those chances for. I could be wrong, right? It can happen. I just feel like his expected points on a given week, considering less chance of a clean sheet and less chances of attacking return, I just am like, why am I paying $6 million for this guy? I'll go get an Arsenal defender. Not for me.
No reason for that. If you're gonna use 6.3 as like a budget, there's so many better budget guys that at least give you a 4 floor.
Yeah, Harry Wilson.
Anderson.
Just get it done. Anderson, sure.
Anderson's the big one.
Yeah. Or you can go with one of those Everton guys in Garner or Dewsbury Hall and
go
could
really
do
cheap.
that.
Yeah, and they're still
Go really-
fine. And Dye might come back soon. Like he might be a guy to consider again.
Oh yeah, I was like, he's
No,
back.
He's back, but like he might come into form.
Yeah.
Prices
other-
just changed. We should have done this earlier. Fuck.
Did Saka drop?
Saka dropped. Bumo, João Pedro, Ekatike, Casemiro all went up.
Did it affect your? I don't know if you know this. Did it affect your sale price?
If Saka dropped 2 nights ago, it definitely did.
He didn't drop 2 nights ago.
Well, he did. He's down to 9.9 for me. He was 10.
Brittle.
What was I going to say? Oh, the other guy that I would look at the, we're just talking budget area players, and getting into Bournemouth, Alex Scott. The boy's been looking kind of nice.
Yeah, he was good. He passed the eye test in a big way.
And again,
Bournemouth are interesting. Definitely something to keep an eye on. I think you got probably the only pick I would go for in Krupi, but
Well,
noted.
Krupi, Hill, Senesi.
well, for
Senesi's 4.8.
I'm still. I mean, jury's still out though on like. Say it again.
Evan Nielsen.
Yeah, I could go Evan Nielsen. I just feel like he's expensive for what you're getting. At that point, I would just go João Pedro.
But for the next consistency piece of the other part is Bournemouth's fixtures, I guess is what I was going to say, because you have Villa this week, who we just talked about, but Everton, West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley, like, sign me up.
I do want to talk about with Hill or even a Senesi, like for the past, give me 10 weeks or so, I haven't really trusted Bournemouth's defense. And in fact, they're a team that I look at the ticker and I go, perfect. My attacker's playing them, captain them, you know? Does buying one of them make sense?
Like buying Hill makes sense. I'm not trying to advocate for anybody else necessarily as a Senesi owner.
Someone who brought in Senesi last year, and he got an 8-pointer for you.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I planned that. I had the map in front of me, and I was able to look at for like through 31 how I'm not going to play him. Newsflash, it's going to be a lot of weeks.
Yeah.
Like I don't trust them. They've kept 6 clean sheets in 25 games, and like Senesi's up there for like DEFCONs, but obviously you want them to clean sheet most of all. That's still the largest point earner for defenders. That's why everybody is Arsenal defenders. I think Hill's the enabler though for like a lot of bigger moves. Like if you, Luke, you're saying that the defense sucks. You can
I honestly might go Hill. Yeah.
Like if like you're saying like that the defensive assets suck, then why sink a bunch of money into them, right?
And I'm already on that. It's more so just a question of who I'm with you. I don't want to touch my attack if I can help it. So it's more so like, how do I make this defense playable in a given week? So I'm with you on that one. I just don't know if like going really the options at that level, like a sub 4.5 are like Sunderland defenders, where Mukiele scores every fucking week. So definitely just get him. Kill myself. And you can get one of the Leeds players like a Goodmanson or a Rodon or someone in that tier, but they're also shit defensively. Or you can get Hill from Bournemouth, who's 3.8 or 9 and is defconning like a fiend. I think all of those are like fine options, but none of those are teams that I ever expect to keep cleans. And if anything, I'd expect them not to. I think Sunderland, I do want your guys' opinion on that, because so first half of the year, not only were they keeping cleans, but they weren't like overachieving. They were just good underlying defensively.
They were overachieving for a while.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah, most of the season, in fact.
Well, then there you go. So do you see it as them just kind of coming back to earth in general? Do you see that as a defense that is still has upside, is potentially underpriced, or do you see that as just like they're back where they're supposed to be? They regressed.
I got to give them a ton of credit. I don't think anybody expects a recently promoted team to come up and be in 8th and like that being coming back to earth because they were in 5th. Like that's a hell of an impressive job. I know that everybody's like Mukiele has massively outscored Alderete.
Just do it. No, call him. Stick to it.
The fact that like I physically had to pause to get it right like kind of hurts me. But like I know that Alderete has been massively outscored by Mukiele in the last couple of weeks, and by massively, like for its budget defender perspective, it's like 10 points. But
still,
the reason I went for the cheaper one is because their games coming up are bad. So regardless of like whether they're legit or not, they're playing Arsenal, Liverpool, Fulham in 27. I might like play one of them. Then it's Bournemouth, Leeds, Brighton, Newcastle, Spurs, Villa, and that takes you to 34. Then the season is basically over. So like that was the main reason why I just went for the cheaper one. It's like because Alderete is 4.1, so he's like in that Hill Rodon range. But Mukiele is up to 4.5. At that point, you're 0.3 shy of a Senesi, which I feel like is.
Damn, is Senesi really 4.8?
He's 4.8, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that does feel like a steal at that point. But right now, it's like Hill is defconning at basically the same amount as Senesi. So it's at that point you start saying, well, what am I paying an extra $1 million for?
No, that's why I think you should go Hill. That's what
for sure.
I was really debating it last week. I didn't have enough confidence in it. I'm thinking maybe if I did, then it would be easier to get into like have gotten a Semenyo or gotten a Verts or something. I didn't want to go Alderete and Hill.
Yeah. This is also Sharpe why when I was looking at your defense, I'm like, it's actually fine, right? You have, because what I would task you guys with is, all right, you have 5.2 or something to spend on defenders. I don't know. You could say 5.5, whatever. Who do you want? Like, who are you getting? I have no idea. So I think having a Tark is fine because if nothing else, you just know he defcons like a monster. If you wanted to like go down to a really cheap player and reinvest that money, I'm all for it. But when you're saying like, oh, I got defensive troubles that I've got to solve, I'm like, fucking, I mean, this looks as good as anybody else's, I feel like right now.
It's also just been one of the most inconsistent seasons ever. Like nobody's keeping 2 cleans in a row. So sorry, you go Sharpe.
No, you're fine. It's really looking at the 2 guys on my bench and being like, I don't want to play them ever. And Gay's playing Liverpool this week, who might have figured something out. I'm not going to say I'm confident in that either. So
wait, why are you out on Robinson?
I don't want to play 4 guys against each other, so I can't figure out who I'm going to play out of on that. But I'm out on Robinson because look at his score the last like 4 weeks.
Well, he's also 4.9, which is crazy.
Correct.
Damn.
So there's just better people to have.
Sorry, I don't mean like why are you out on him long term? I just meant like in this lineup, why is he not in? Is really what I meant.
He might be. I have been so upset looking at my team and trying to figure out my transfer that I have made 0. I haven't changed it from last week. Well,
and you just have 1 transfer?
Yeah, because the 2 transfers I used last week were correct. I brought in Bruno and JP, so like good on me for that. However, that leaves me with 1, and I need to make 2 moves to make the Saka move worth it, which is the hardest part for me right now.
Why do you need to make 2 moves? I think we're getting on transfers. I think it's starting.
Yeah. Rip it.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. We got to talk captaincy at some point, but that's it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the guy in the middle of my team will be my captain, so I've talked about it. There it is. JP. But could be Barry, though. I mean, he was cold last week, so he might get hot. Okay, anyway.
Do it.
Why I feel like I need to make 2 moves is I don't really want to go Bumo. So I'm kind of taking him off the table right now. It's a double up factor. I think Bruno's the better guy there. I think he's going to get the more points, so I'm going to ride with him. I don't want to go Verts this week because they play fucking City. And he just scored last week, so you know he's not going to score this week. It's just the way he works.
Counterpoint, Tottenham just scored 2 on City.
That's true.
Good counterpoint.
Newcastle did score 1. Also, we didn't talk about this in Newcastle. If anyone was considering Gordon, he went off injured today.
Oh, excellent.
Nice. You do forget, though, that Tottenham owns City, so that is actually irrelevant.
Hey, Tottenham also owned Manchester United for what it's worth. They beat them 4 times last season.
That's wild. Yeah, fair enough. But when I look at transfer plans, I could play Wilson and Robinson both, and it's not the worst thing in the world and whatever. I just don't have very much confidence in them. And I feel like I need to free up that money for Saka. But like I said, I'm still looking at those guys. I don't trust Semenyo personally. Either way, same thing. I don't necessarily want him to get him against Liverpool.
Do you just not trust him because of the minutes, or do you not trust him because of something else?
No, I've just decided I don't want him in my team. He's like, I don't know. I feel like you probably earlier in the season, but that's where I'm at on him right now. It's a big part being City, and I know we've talked about the injury and him playing and everything, but he's just not someone I want. I want the fact that he's 49% owned to work for me in weeks, so I'm willing to take the chance that it's going to work more for me than against me.
So I'm hearing about.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing about all these players that you're not bringing in, but I still don't understand why you feel the need to take a hit this week. Because you still haven't said who you are bringing in.
I was going to say, if you backed yourself into a Wirtz-shaped corner and you're saying you don't want Wirtz, and I'm like, so then...
I just want... No, what I want is Wirtz to not be playing City this week, is what I want.
So take the sacrifice and just bring him in and play Wilson or something. Like, you're not making this move for 1 week, right?
Also, to be fair, you just missed out on the Saka price drop, so maybe you could just roll and then do it next week. But I would do it. I think as far as I would definitely take Saka to one of those guys because I think those are probably outside of Bruno Fernandes. I think between Bumo, Semenyo, and Wirtz, those are the highest ceiling guys in the game right now that are the highest priority to get in, regardless of who they're playing. So I don't see City, Liverpool. I don't see either of those teams keeping it clean, if I'm being straight. So I think you could go with either one of them, Semenyo or Wirtz, and I think either one of them has a chance to return.
I think that's fair. And I did not articulate well the out of my corner that I have backed myself in looking at those priced guys. It's looking at all those cheap guys that are 4 floors that I could plug in there and say, okay, the week that Verts, everyone else is going to only get 2 points or get a yellow and only get 1 point. I'm up 3 every single week on that. So I'm looking at bringing in someone like that. I'm also kind of functioning under the assumption that I'm going to take a hit over the next 2 weeks because what I need to do by 26 is have Timber in here. Like that's my goal. So
yeah,
Timber's going to
touch on that Arsenal double, but Arsenal double.
Right.
But
yeah, Arsenal. If you didn't know, you're not actually playing FPL. I feel like so Arsenal has a double in 2 weeks, and 2 great options. So I plan to get Timber in here. What that means is there's my 2 transfers for the next week, and I need to do other things, I feel like. So I've kind of backed myself into the corner of saying I'm going to take a hit within the next 2 weeks. So if I don't do it, or if I do it this week, I can take Saka down to someone bad, take Robinson up to Timber, and then take Wilson up to Verts.
I just don't think. So you're going to take a hit to bench one of the guys you hit in this week?
No, I wouldn't bring Verts in this week. I would bring in a 4 floor, play him. I would then bring in Timber at the same time.
Say Anderson, just for shits and gigs.
So, okay, so you're going to bring in Anderson this week, and then next week you want to bring in Verts, and so you transfer out
Verts and Timber.
One of them. Take the hit. Yeah, correct. Timber
okay.
would probably come in this week if I'm doing it, so that I could play him against Sunderland and not. But yeah,
I understand. I was under the impression that you wanted to take a hit this week, and I was like, that just doesn't make any sense if you're going to bench one of them. But yeah, I mean, getting out of stock is definitely a priority. Nobody disagrees with that. I guess the real question is you as a Liverpool fan, are you that confident in Verts?
No,
that's a loaded question. Yeah,
I'm not, but I'm more confident in him than I am the guys around that price range.
And that's so interesting. Why? What's the? Yeah, never mind. I don't need to change your mind. I'm just curious. But
no, the flip side of this is, I think I have the most confidence this week in a 4 guy and going down there. I think that's where I'm going first. So to your point, I don't have confidence against Verts against good teams.
Wait, so can we talk money for a second? Because I'm feeling like you're doing 3 moves when 2 could do, right? Okay,
that's kind of where I'm getting at.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this doesn't work out money wise, and that's what I'm trying to understand. So if you did Saka to Wirtz this week, I know you don't really want to, but let's just play that game. Saka to Wirtz this week, then next week you do Robinson up to Timber. Do you have any money left to upgrade? What if you did Rodgers to Semenyo?
Nope.
That doesn't work?
No, 0.1 off.
0.1 off? Brutal. Should have done this earlier.
Apparently, yeah.
So why do you want to upgrade Wilson though?
So that was my point. Is so I'm sitting here as a Harry Wilson owner, and I'm actually eager to get him into my lineup this week. And then in future weeks, he has a great run for the rest of the season. So, is he as good as a Bumo or a Wirtz? I get it. That's an upgrade for sure. But I also...
He's done. He had his fun.
His games are getting better.
Okay, but this is... Hang on, Mac. We have missed out on this the entire year. Sharpe is saying... He knows when to hop on and hop off of a hot hand. If he knows anything in this game, that's what he knows. And he's trying to tell us, what the fuck are you guys still looking at Wilson for? He's done.
Okay. I didn't go Wilson because I agree with Sharpe for the record. I was he's massively overperforming. The problem is then you watch the games and he's super involved and he looks
great. He's so central to their attack.
He's their entire attack and he just looks good. He's actually a good player.
Yeah.
I, to be honest, have been looking at going to Wilson as an easy out of Enzo in 27, 28.
I think the problem
So-
with Wilson is similar to what it is with Bowen, where it's just like Fulham's attack is not that good. And so ultimately it's like the good players on good teams with good fixtures. It's like he's a good player on a bad team with good fixtures. So you're just dealing with that. There may like Fulham play a lot of low event ball. So it may just be that there's a lot of games where not a lot happens. They play a 1-1 game or a 1-0 game or something like that.
No, I mean I don't disagree with that, but he's your fifth guy, right?
Yeah,
He's your
100%.
enabler. You only have to play a guy like Wilson. He's been overperforming, but if he regresses, law of averages, that's fine. He's a 6.0 enabler. Like I just think that as your fifth mid, it doesn't get a lot better than that. I just don't know if like you need to take a hit, right? Anderson's good. Wilson has more points, but it's only like a 15-point spread. Because keep in mind, like all I'm saying is from a game theory perspective, Wilson's got good runs. Your safety score every week is like 2 or 3 points. And so I just don't think that it makes sense to like the game's won on points, not team value. I just don't think it makes sense to like take a hit and get Wilson out, who has good fixtures. You could get into Timber and Wirtz potentially without the hit.
Can I suggest something you're going to hate, Sharpe?
Sure, go for it.
You have another idea that you want to share?
No, I just think I don't think we're valuing Anderson enough, to be honest with you. I think he's 1.1 mil cheaper than Wilson for anyone right now. So like, I guess, Mac, I understand what you're saying for me. For you, I don't know why you would look anywhere else.
No, but for you, then it makes even more sense. Like, never mind. I don't know. Keep going.
No, I like I said, I understand your point for me. I think, again, it's me just saying, like, I think he's useless for the rest of the season, as in Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
For you in 28, when you're looking to get off, I don't know why you would look anywhere else other than Anderson.
I don't know if I'm following you there.
Does it make it any cheaper for you to do, instead of Robinson to Timber, to do one of your goalies to Raya? Or is that more expensive?
No, I could do Rosa for, I don't know, how much is Raya now? I really don't want to do that, so I'm not going to. But
it's only 5.9.
Yeah, so he'd be a mil. And
okay, but like, is the difference between Timber and Raya worth a hit for you?
Hold on.
Can you pull up your transfer screen? Is that possible?
Because here's the counterpoint to Timber.
I don't have to take a hit to bring Timber in.
No, I know that. We know that. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Yes.
But I don't understand your argument then.
You're saying you don't need to take an additional hit for your budget.
No. I understand that. I don't know where Raya came in.
What I'm saying is maybe, okay, so my proposition was to go Saka to Wirtz, Rogers to Semenyo, and Robinson to Timber, right? And I'm saying instead of Robinson to Timber, what if that was Verbruggen to Raya? Maybe then you don't have the price issue, and you can do that over the course of 3 weeks as opposed to taking a hit.
I'm following you now.
Luke very well articulated what I was trying to get at this point.
But so really it's more so, I hear your point, Sharpe, of like, hey, like, okay, looking at Harry Wilson versus Anderson in total points, Harry Wilson's got 116 and Anderson has 104. And if you are under the impression, which is probably objectively true, that Harry Wilson has outperformed a little bit, then I hear your point on that. Like, and I think that's a fair one, and I'm not going to like fight you on it per se. But I just, if that's the case, if you're going ultra budget, then again, I'm like, why do you have to take a hit? I think where Mac and I are getting lost here is that
what's the urgency for swapping a budget guy? It's not as high value as like if Salah suddenly was scoring braces and you're like bringing in Salah for a hit makes sense.
Sure.
But
yeah, if you're bringing a budget guy,
you're likely to bench most weeks anyways.
I don't think I would bench him.
Right now, you have Wilson on your bench right now.
Right. Wait, and I think Anderson's way better. That's what I'm saying.
No, but you just said I don't think I would bench him. But in the future, you're talking about upgrading Wilson to like Bumo. You're going to play Anderson over Bumo or Anderson over Semenyo or whoever that player is.
I'm not taking Wilson up to Bumo. I know I wasn't taking Wilson up to Bumo.
All right, walk us through your plans.
I'm lost. We got to watch it happen. We're just visual, apparently.
Yeah.
All right. It would help if I went to the transfer side. That's my bad. Okay. So what I'm thinking,
negative quality too. Or
I don't
just
know.
The grainiest screen of all. That's fine.
That's just my screen, man. Oh wait, no, it's not. I zoomed in earlier. That's my bad.
That's it. There he is. Still awful.
Okay, well,
Just go. Soccer to who?
is that better?
Actually, yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, now we have to do it this way, though. Well, these are the options that we have in front of us.
What Wi-Fi are you on? Like a tin foil? Like what's going on? Anyway,
I lived in that building with him and our roof leaked. So I think that's all you need to know.
All right, that's uncalled for. Okay, so I would go there. And so what that would allow me to do is obviously have a guy that could play this week, and I wouldn't have to play Barry necessarily.
sure.
I think we're all
Well,
fine
that's
with
true.
that
I would
one.
still have to play Barry. Yeah, okay. So I'm going, but if I go down to Anderson, that feels like I could make this more worth it for me. Like that feels like a just giant leap. So I don't really like that. So I would probably just do this week. And I know he could play against Everton for sure. I understand that thought process, but then I could just do that this week, have 3.2 to then really do whatever I wanted to do with next week. So that would give another week for those guys to put their hand up in the midfield and maybe change my mind.
Okay, so where are you putting that 3.2? Because this is going to feed into what I was going to say. Oh, you're upgrading Harry Wilson. What happened 2 minutes ago when you said you're not upgrading Harry Wilson?
Well, I'm viewing it as downgrading him to Anderson, but I have to do it this way.
Okay, so who are you taking Wilson to?
No, that's what I'm saying. It gives me another week to decide where I want to take him.
I'm gonna freak out.
No. Okay. You understand though that means I have to take Saka down this week.
Yeah, everybody's on board with Son. That's not what we're getting
no.
here, brother.
Okay, so if I take Saka down this week, I'm out of a player. I don't think that I want to play Wilson, excuse my voice there, Wilson the next week when
Getting emotional.
they're playing City the next week. So now he's out. So now I'm going to trade him up to the guy that put his hand up, but I can't not have 3 Arsenal players in my team. That's a must. So I'm going to have to make a transfer to get Timber in too.
I understand what you're saying.
And I don't have a valid team to play.
So next week, is there not somebody that next week there's nobody you can put in for Wilson? Is that what you're saying?
Who's currently in there? Yeah, correct. Yes, that is accurate.
So Barry plays somebody.
Because Everton plays Bournemouth.
Yeah.
In 26th then is where we'd be. Which could be a Barry game, I suppose. I don't know if you're already
I was going to say that could be a Barry game for
Dallas
sure.
Injured. Guehi might already be playing against Fulham. This is so hard to picture.
Yeah, I have the FPL live.
Well, okay. So, are you just doing Anderson this week? Is that what's happening? Yeah. Are we just going to wrap around and argue about this again?
Are we? Is it worth us even arguing with you, or are you just done on this?
No, I'm going to take Son. I would take Timber up this week too if I do that.
Oh, so you are taking it this week?
This would be the week that I probably take a hit.
Okay.
I don't mind the upgrade there. I hear you on Robinson up to Timber is a worthwhile upgrade. So,
and you have him in 26. I understand. Like, yeah.
I think my general point is that okay. I guess that kind of takes it away. Of just you're going to take a hit this week anyway. But I just wonder if you can do these 2 moves without the Wilson part in 2 successive weeks and then be fine.
That's the thought, right? But that's where I just get really mad at looking at my team, because if I do just do that, who I have playing in 26, I just really don't love what that team looks like.
And so you're doing all of this just to avoid playing Verts this week and gain more information. That's the thought process here. Because if Verts plays, then you don't take a hit, and he does nothing but play 2 points. So then, like, I don't know.
Nah, I still think it makes sense.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah,
all right.
Fair enough. You're hundreds of thousands of ranks higher than I am. So
true, dude.
Who are we to argue?
He sees the writing on the wall on Harry Wilson, and he's just confused why we can't read it.
I know it's like
invisible ink that only he.
It's like a Goodwill Hunting, and he's like, I can just play.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is so hard for you.
Oh my god! Wait, dude, Sharpe as the guy from Goodwill Hunting as Matt Damon. Just you know how easy this is for me. This is fucking just tosses it at us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the most accurate shit of my life.
And we're like struggling to understand, and
we're pulling it out of the fire, blowing on the fucking paper. Oh, that's God. We gotta make that meme. Oh, that's funny.
I'm glad you guys at least finally get it, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's
sorry,
so
it just took
true,
us an extra 10 minutes.
Uh, okay, Mac, do you want to go or
Yeah.
you're rolling, right? Yeah.
Oh, so I'm rolling. This is probably the team that I'm playing. I don't know if you guys have any disagreements. I just don't think that. I think that I could play Krupi versus Arsenal. I could play Senesi versus Arsenal, but I don't want to play Guehi over Alderete. So then I think that forces
Villa.
me into
They're
the
playing Villa.
Senesi. Sorry, Villa, AV. L, not
Sharpe was gonna blow a gasket. I had to get out of it.
sorry. So yeah, I think I'm forced into playing Senesi, which is like maybe the only like there, but like whatever.
I mean, Villa looked. I think that's a fair enough play. Villa looked bad. I mean, do they probably score? Yeah, but is it any more or less likely than Liverpool scoring? I think it's about the same.
I actually would argue that like maybe Rodgers is the weakest link in this team, and that's why I should have gone Semenyo potentially. It's just that the whole reason I didn't go with Semenyo is just because the City like inconsistency that we've been seeing. Like they beat Newcastle in the cup pretty badly, but then they lost to they tied to Spurs, and it was just like, there's just like this back and forth. And well, Semenyo might be on a hot streak. I'm just like worried about that sustaining, but Rodgers hasn't been good either. So yeah, potentially Rodgers and Senesi's are like my holes in this team, but I'm pretty happy with it. This is kind of why I wildcarded. I've planned basically this rotation, and my plan from now until 28 is to potentially I could go early in 27, but I won't because the Chelsea fixture is still good unless we learn that Chelsea's just really bad over the next 3 weeks. But I'm just going to hold, get to 28, have 4 transfers, divest out of my Chelsea assets, and then maybe one other guy conditionally, depending on whether I need to spend it. And then at that point, we should have more information for like the 31 and beyond time frame.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that I can set myself up for the final shoot into the season.
And you don't have any money in the bank, right?
No, but I'm playing stock market, right? Like half of my team rose this week.
Yeah.
So
no, I was just thinking like if Rodgers continues to blow and you were like, I want to get rid of him, what that out would be. But it may be like, yeah, if we're sitting here in a couple weeks and Chelsea haven't kept it clean, like maybe you get Chalobah out for somebody cheap and change, or somebody else and change Rodgers. But yeah, regardless, easy roll.
Well,
I think
the thing is, like, the reason I also didn't stick with Ekatike despite him just having a clean is because he enables me to be so flexible with my team with the transfers that I'm planning on accruing, right? João Pedro can almost go sideways to Evan Nielsen or Thiago, or he could go down to a DCL and free up so much money. Enzo can go down to a Wilson or even an Anderson, and then I have like 1.5 mil free. Chalobah can go all the way down to like a budget guy, like another budget guy if we're not convinced that the defense is good. So my whole plan is to like, the Chelsea guys are kind of worth a lot of money, and they have a fixed termination point in my team, which is going to free up so much cash. And so that's kind of why I'm like,
yeah, fine
rolling potentially. So yeah, and then if Chelsea sucks, I can get out of them early. I don't if I know I'm going to exit them, I don't have to keep them.
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah, and I will say on the Rodgers point, like again, I think Bournemouth is as good of a fixture as any to see as a litmus test.
And if he sucks, I bring him up to Wirtz if Wirtz is still good, or maybe this Liverpool's run is temporary, or maybe I have to get a United guy out because they've been overperforming. Like,
I think you have to keep Rodgers through West Ham. Realistically, I do. You've got Villa this week, or sorry, you have a. Wait, am I looking at the wrong thing?
Well, yes. The other reason that I kept Rodgers is because I truly don't really. I'm playing him this week, but I don't think I'm playing him next week. Maybe I am, but then in 27, the run is just good all the way through 36. Like
yeah.
But like they're in third place for a reason. I think 25 games in, we can say that Villa's a good team, and I expect him to get points at some point in this. And if not, he's an easy out. Wirtz isn't that much more expensive.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's a tricky one because I don't know what you do with an asset like him. He has great fixtures upcoming. To your point, they're a solid side, like they're a top flight side, and he is known to score even when the team isn't doing great around him. So that's like all the keys to keep him. But at the same time, like if he continues to blanket, obviously ultimately that becomes a problem at some point. So anyway, 100%. I'm projecting too far ahead because he could just score a couple bangers this week and this isn't a conversation anymore.
Yeah, it was really weird. I feel like since I looked at the wild card so heavily, like a lot of the information that we knew last week to be true flipped on its head. very strange. Like all of a sudden, like everyone was out on Liverpool last week, and now he's back. Like Liverpool's back in a big way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, everyone was super in on Chelsea. Now everyone's like, no, don't go get Chelsea assets. And it's like, got to ride the wave a little bit, I think. So this is my plan. Whether it works or not, I'm just gonna have to like stick to it, and then we'll reassess in 28. That's like my inflection point.
Yep, I think that's super fair.
I think if Rodgers is the worst person or the biggest problem in this team that's listening, like good on you. Like nice place to be.
100%. And like Krupi is a solid sub in that sense. Obviously, you can always play 4 at the back as well if the stars align there. But Krupi has been playing a ton. He's been scoring at a really good rate. Like I think that was I was gonna say earlier, like we were texting over the weekend. Like you smashed this wild card over the weekend. Specifically, you got a ton of points with it, and obviously would have been more with the captaincy stuff. But it's not
player,
right. But it's not only that, but it's also like the bench guys. Like you got the bench guys right as well. Your bench, you could have damn near bench boosted this week, and it was a solid week. So
that was. I don't know if this is going to work in the long term. Maybe it ends up that the double game week that is inevitably coming, probably in 33, like I am impossibly set up for, and I lose rank. My goal was to play this season, try to claw back some rank before those things happened. And keep in mind, I didn't have a single playable bench player last week. I looked at live FPL. I've gained 18 points from my starting lineup as compared to the team I would have fielded. So for my team, I think it was the right move. I'm fairly happy with it. Sure. I think I have a thought out plan. Do you guys have any indications of when you're going to wildcard yet? Like Luke, you potentially threw out 28, but you think you're waiting?
I think Sharpe was the one who's throwing out 28. Like, I mean, I know the like text template strategy going forward is that wildcard 32. And I think that makes really good sense just from like a logical perspective of you dead it in 31, you wildcard 32, you bench boost 33. This has happened the first, so this is my third year, right? The first 2 years, like both times that I got to this point in the season, I started being like, whatever the template strategy was, I wanted to go the other way. Just because, to your point, Mac, like that's why I was all for wildcard 24, and ultimately I didn't go there because it just didn't make sense for me. But I love the play. I like differing from that template, especially when we get to that point where everybody has the same players. It's fun to have something different, and it's paid off for me every time I've done it. So I'm interested in that, and so I guess like an earlier wildcard isn't off the table, but also as I get closer and personally, I look at my team and I say, I really like this team. Genuinely, I feel that way for the first time this season, probably. So I really like the team. I don't really want to make any changes for it. And I have a lot of players who have really good long-term fixtures. And I don't have a reliance on a ton of guys who are blanking in 31, I don't think. So I should be okay, I think. So it's like, I think it may just end up making the most sense for me to go with the template one, but I'm also looking at any options to not do that. So no, to answer your question, I haven't really thought about it. I don't feel like it's necessary right now. So I'm just kind of like, fine. But you know, if I could just wildcard the defense, that'd be sick.
Yeah. I mean,
the defense is pretty
too, right? Like, things flip on their head pretty quickly. Like what we know to be true right now probably won't be true in 3 weeks. So.
Yeah. A couple of injuries would trigger a wildcard for me for sure. Like it's, but yeah, so this is my team going into this week. Just the attack is just perfect. I love it. I don't want to change anything. And in fact, I really want to put Harry Wilson in for one of my defenders, and I just can't find a way to do it. Like it sounds like Sharpe and I are on the other end of this. So definitely explain to me if I'm missing something here, but I just like the Everton fixture a lot for him. I think he has a really high chance of returning there. Problem is I cannot find anyone who I want to bench here. It would maybe be Declan Rice, but that scares me too much. I don't think I'm going to do that. You could argue Ekitike versus City, right? To your point with like Wirtz, like that's a tough fixture, but I just think Ekitike's potential ceiling is so high, and I think it's higher than Harry Wilson's is. So I don't want to, I mean, that guy just bangs in goals, and it could be that they blank, and it could be that Liverpool's attack looks really bad and all of those things, but I'm kind of willing to take that risk. I also, you know, as someone who's kept Ekitike, he's still a slight differential in that sense that a lot of people did sell. So I think it benefits me to go with him. I'll stop there if you guys have any thoughts on the attack, and then I'll go to defense.
No, I think a lot of your takes are right. I would totally understand wanting to get out of your defenders because
yeah,
so that's tough scenes out there. But
dude, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So where I'm at with that, it's open season. Anybody but Gabrielle, I could see gone and be totally fine with that. I went the same way as Mack with Alderete a couple weeks ago. The reason being was exclusively his price, so I could afford him Bumo, so that I could essentially get the attack I wanted. By no means am I glued to him, but he's super cheap. Rodon's also super cheap, so I don't really have an out from them. Dorgu was supposed to be my saving grace, and he actually might have been. I still would have, like, this was an option that was going to be true potentially regardless, because he could have just lost his place to like Cunha or somebody. But he was potentially going to be my saving grace. Obviously, him getting injured sucks. I'm not really in danger of price falls from him, funny enough, but he's 4.2, so I really don't have anywhere to go but down. So like a Hill, a Goodmanson, like somebody in that range is really the only place I can go. Getting another Leeds defender doesn't sound great, especially because next week they play Chelsea. So I'm not going to want to play. I don't need double Leeds defense. The other option, obviously, is to go for another Sunderland defender, but they play Arsenal this week, so that doesn't help me this week. And their fixtures upcoming are Arsenal, Liverpool, Fulham, Bournemouth. So pretty butt. So really the only option is that Hill, and I don't really agree, or I don't really want a Bournemouth defender. So this week I don't have to do anything. I could just keep these three guys in. None of them are great. I could sell Chow and go to somebody else, but I would ask you guys to imagine you're in my position and go find a sub 5 mil defender who's any good and has a good fixture this week, because it's fucked. So I could just roll and then potentially make a double move in defense next week, like do Chow and Dorgu out for 2 other guys. I don't know. I'm the defense. I'm really stuck. Obviously, I could sell a player in my attack. In 28, I'm penciling in Bowen to Thiago, which would save me a little bit of money.
So you have brought up exactly what I was going to suggest. Like, I'm going to just interject myself with or without your permission.
I was rambling.
The 2 problems I see in your defense
Yeah.
or your team as a whole is, like, if we look at what's the weakest, you could argue if Rice, it's what Sharpe said about Rogers. If Rice is your weakest midfielder, you're
I'm
not.
fine.
Like, I'm looking at potentially going to Wilson. He's your 5th guy. You could, if you're not confident Rice, like, whatever. Enzo Fernandez and Enzo Fernandez and Bruno Fernandez are fine, and Moon was fine. The problem I see right now with your team is that you have 3 very budget defenders: Chow, who's not good, and then Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
And
Precisely.
my big question is, like, so if we're looking for weakest point in the team, that seems to be it. How do you solve that on like a more macro level? And you have to enable funds is really the answer, because even if you solve one problem like Dorgu by going to a Hill, you probably can't afford to bring him like Chow up to a Guehi. And even if you could, I'm not sure that's like the best defending option. So it seems to me like you have to free up some cash somehow, right? So if you have to free up some cash, I guess the question is, where does it come from? And then in my mind, Bowen springs out, because in 26, he goes United, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Fulham, City, Villa.
Wait, but I don't hate your idea of...
You can't just take Chow to Gehi. That is, yeah, if you did that, Dorgu to Hill and Chow to Gehi.
That sounds kind of nice, actually. I really don't mind that.
But
because
then
honestly, go
I
ahead.
don't know. I don't know if that puts you in like a best position from an overall team structure standpoint.
I think where I'm at, though, is like, I just don't know. I don't think there's save if I was going to go get a triple Arsenal defense, which I could do, I suppose. But outside of that, I just like, tell me who I'm supposed to go get. Gehi is honestly the only one that I'd be like, all right, heard. Everybody else, I'm like, I actually don't think they're any good. I mean, I could go get a Senesi or a Tark who like DEFCON like a motherfucker, but both of them are on pretty bad defenses. And to your point with Senesi, I'd rather just get Hill. And honestly, with Tark, you might even be able to go, now that Braithwaite's back, you might be able to go get him for cheaper. I don't know what his price is now.
Or Keane's 4.7.
Yeah, I don't know what's good with that, though. I think they're rotating a little bit in that defense now that Braithwaite's back. But neither here nor there. Point being, like, I don't know if I need to go. I don't think it's worth it per se to go downgrade one of my attackers to go upgrade one of these defenders to somebody else who I don't think is going to clean. So that's why I'm kind of like actually in on this budget defense thing. Long term, you're right though, Mac. Like eventually I'm going to have to make some sort of a move there. Like, and again, tentatively planning on selling Bowen eventually, or Enzo, or both.
It's just that for me, it seems like you're backing yourself into a budget defense corner. And if Hill doesn't turn out to be the guy that you think he is, then you have no out And you're still going to have to take 2 moves in the future to get out of Bowen, whose fixtures turn, who is on West Ham. Bowen is the 3rd highest scoring forward, I think, so he's doing great. But I'm just saying, like, if nobody is springing out to you as an obvious go get, this might be the time to restructure so you're on that next wave when someone does pop, you know? Because I don't think any of the guys you're suggesting are significant degrees of upside.
So, okay, I'm on. Go ahead.
But I don't understand, I guess. We're talking about like using Bowen to get into someone else or using X, Y, and Z, whatever, to get yourself out of this defense corner. I don't think you put yourself in too bad of a defense corner. If we're saying Hill is going to be consistent minutes at bare minimum, okay, 3.9 for 2 points if I have to play him. And then you have 2 other, budget defenders, but you have budget defenders then where you're always going to have 2 guys on the bench from the defense that you can flop in and out. You just need one of those guys to be playable per week. And then you have Gahey and Gabriel, who you are going to play every single week.
But you're forcing yourself to play 3-back every week, which means you have to play. You can only sub one attacker or one midfielder across the 2. So, like, Bowen plays Arsenal, you're playing him. Like, Enzo plays City, you're playing him.
You could play Hill and Rodon this week. Like, you would, if you didn't have this attack that you're looking at right now, why could you not play both of those guys and feel like pretty decent about it? So I guess you could always have 2 that could play.
Also, to be fair, Mac, I think part of the appeal of the attack right now is that I don't think I need to bench any of these guys for like the foreseeable in the attack, right? Yeah. Harry Wilson plays City next week, and save that. The rest of these guys have fine fixtures. Like, obviously, Holland and Ekitike for me are like, I'll play them no matter who they're playing. Save Arsenal, I guess. But everybody else has just like phenomenal fixtures. But I hear your point, and I would ask you the exercise of like, obviously I'm not going to sell Bowen this week. So your plan is next week.
No, yeah, Bowen. Roll this week is
right. Roll this week, sell Bowen next week, get somebody different. Who? That's actually my big question. Is
you
like
could go Thiago, you could go Evan Nielsen, you could go all the way down to
defense. Like if I take Bowen down to somebody, who do I go to?
Well,
like
I think you just lock for somebody who you think you're going to hold for the rest of the season. Like we're at the point where there is a termination in sight, and so whether you think that is a Senesi or you think that's some Everton player or you think it's a,
but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. I don't. So do you have somebody that you would go to?
I mean, if I just sort by defenders real quickly, I mean, you're just trying to shoot for guys on the better teams, the teams that have proven themselves, right? If you don't want to invest too much, you could go cash from Aston Villa because they have good fixtures.
Yeah.
You know, you could go Keane, you could go Matthias Nunez from City, you could go Guehi from City, you could go Tarkowski, you go cheaper Tarkowski and like Keane. Like all I'm saying is you just want somebody playable in that spot. Like,
when I look at somebody like an Everton or a Bournemouth, I don't think they have significantly better chances of keeping it clean than like a Sunderland or a Leeds, and having to divest out of an attacker to get one of them sucks. But Gahey, Hurd, I think an Aston Villa defender considering their fixtures long term, Hurd, but no one on that defense really defcons. So if they don't clean, you're kind of fucked. And anybody else, like genuinely, I like. Okay, you could go Chelsea, but they have bad fixtures for the end of the season. You could go City, but the only reliable player is Gahey, and outside of that, like I don't know who else is going to start. Obviously Arsenal already tripled up. Liverpool could go Liverpool. I suppose I could go get Van Dijk.
Go get Van Dijk.
The only one I was going to say was Van Dijk, but I think Mack, you just made a point for staying budget because you could just get Konsa, who's 4.4, and if you take Dorgu down to Hill, you take Rodon is 4.1 or 4.2.
I think he's like 3.9 actually.
Oh shit! Well, Alderete is at least 4.1 at least. I think you have the funds to do that straight, so then you get a little more consistent back there. If you want the chow down, if you're looking at doing it short term, I think you use Wilson to get funds. I think you go down there.
I think it's either that. I could also just, like ultimately I probably do want to sell Enzo. So that's the other thing. Like Bowen and Enzo are going to be gone at some point. So I could just wait till then. That's kind of what I'm doing right now, Mac. Like to your point, I'm definitely backing myself in a corner, and it's kind of just like I'm waiting until I sell one of those guys and then I'll address this later. And it's for sure not long-term smart.
I just feel like from a meta perspective, you're just like backing yourself into a corner that's going to be it's going to require many transfers that you're not going to have to get out of.
Yeah, I could see, I just am like, I don't know where to go, but okay. So let's play I do Dorgu to Hill game. Like, let's say I'm planning that either this week or next week, regardless. Do you do it this week? Like, would you guys bring in Hill versus Villa and play him again over either Rodon or Chow?
I would do it. That's so classic.
I feel like it's close between him and Rodon because he defcons better than Rodon. Villa is a better attack than Forest, so I think you could like.
I think we're talking about how shit Villa just looked against Brentford. Do we against not just Brentford, a 10-man Brentford? So like, I'm thinking Villa, unless Watkins does come back this week, is in the shitter for a week or two still, and they're not hot. I'm looking at. I kind of have faith in Forest. I don't know. For some reason, I do. So, and I have very little faith in Leeds. You talk about West Ham like passing someone. That's who they're going to pass, and probably in 3 weeks if they keep it up, like looking decent. So to me, that gives you a better player, but it also just gives you more funds going forward. And Dorgu's out for 8 more weeks.
I'm gonna sell him. I have to sell him. Yeah.
Why would you not just do it now?
Yeah, the only reason would be to do what Max said and like wait a week and then potentially be like, oh, I have an injury or something, and then I can sell. Let's say Bumo gets injured, then I sell Bumo to somebody, and then I can upgrade instead of going to Hill. I can go to like somebody.
Sure.
Just to be clear, I don't disagree that you need to get out of Dorgu.
No, yeah.
The only thing that I'm thinking is just if you go to like a Hill, you have to play a minimum of 3 defenders every week, and you're forcing yourself to play Gabriel and then one of Chow, who we don't like, Rodon, who has hit or miss fixtures but is a good swing player, Alderete, who has hit or miss fixtures but is a good occasional player, and then Hill, who has hit or miss fixtures but is an occasional player.
100%.
I don't want to play my rotation players every week.
No, I agree with you, Mac. You're right. Like, I hear your point totally, and I agree with you. The only counter to that is, lack of options. And then also, like, I wonder if we're at that point of the season where you can afford to do this because there are budget defenders that have shown themselves as players who like can kind of play and are undervalued or underpriced in the game. So you may be able to get away with something like this. But, so like the Liverpool example is probably the best one to me of where I could take that money. And I just don't know if I want to pay $6 million for someone who doesn't like, they don't clean. They never clean. And that's the problem. Like they could start cleaning. Like maybe it all comes together, but it just feels like a weird bet to make and at a cost of players that I know are doing well. So as of now, my temptation is to Jimmy rig it in some way that like you suggested, Mac, with the like Gahey, or maybe anti-suggested, but the like ultimately bringing in like a Gahey and then in 28 reassess and be like, okay, I'm selling players now. Now I could maybe have the opportunity to upgrade someone in defense. But I agree with you. This defense is disgusting. I don't want to look at them. And I'm definitely putting myself in like I'm on a teetering house of cards with this for sure.
If you just like lose even an occasional clean sheet, not a big deal, right? But if you're not getting those clean sheets after like 2 weeks, that might be 12 points. 3 weeks, that's like, you're looking at 20 points lost by just not having like slightly more competent defenders. And the only reason I'm just saying this is because you're saying that no one's standing out. And so if no one's standing out, I think it's just like try to hop on the next wave. But I don't think your point's a bad one, and I could be a big fat idiot next week when we come back here. So
no, I think part of the problem in how I've been looking as well is that I'm looking for players that have a good fixture this week. And like for some reason, Twitter's not working for me. But if I look at the clean sheet odds this week from Rob T, it's Arsenal at 56%, and then the next best is 36 from Fulham. Then Chelsea 34% against Wolves, and then it's Leeds, West Ham. Like it's not, so this feels like a weird week. So part of my problem has been that I'm looking for fixes right now. And I think maybe if I wait a week, a couple of others might identify themselves. Like,
I mean, rolling is I feel like we've talked a lot about what we're going to do in a 26, but rolling is probably the move, right?
Yeah. It's again, though, I could see like the upside potentially of going for a Hill this week. I think it's splitting hairs, but the only reason why I'm tempted by that is how well he's defconning. I think Rodon gets like 8 defcons a game or something. So it's a very strong likelihood that he ends on like a 0-pointer.
Actually, never mind. That's a totally fine thing to do, because if his price rises too, like there's no point of losing $1 million if you're going to do it next week, right?
It's like to Sharpe's point, I'm getting out of a player that I know isn't going to play for like 10 weeks. I'm saving money that I can then use on another move later the rolling point would just be that it gives me more info, right? I get if there's an injury or something, I'm more covered. But it's not like I don't think getting Hill in is a priority. I do like the idea of the Hill then Chow to Gahey though, because I think Gahey is really nice with it, and I'm tired of watching him not on my team. And then it's like, yeah, if you're rotating one guy, I'm pretty confident in Gabriel and Gahey playing them pretty much every week. So then it would just be a question of like, all right, if I can rotate one guy between 3 budget guys every week, I honestly think that's okay.
That is better. You can afford that. It's going to be a 0.3 mil swing right now.
Yeah, I think I have 0.1 in the bank with both of those moves. Yeah. Nice. So I still have a little bit of space.
That might just be the answer then.
Yeah, we'll see. But I appreciate the perspective on both ends because Mac, I hear you. I'm looking at this and being like, what am I doing? But I just can't get myself to take money out of this attack. I like it too much. I'm like,
you mean against Bowen or against Burnley? Absolutely. I'm just saying like next week, I just don't think it's like it switches. Yeah. That's all.
No, the Bowen point is a super fair one. Again, my plan was to go in 28 after I want to go to Thiago in theory. If he keeps sucking, then fine. But this week he plays Newcastle. Next week he plays Arsenal. So it wouldn't be the time to sell Bowen per se. But if I went with somebody different, which I can look into. So good shot.
The only thing I'm going to say is if you do have faith in Wilson this week, which I still don't, but if you do, if we remember, Palace owns Liverpool the same way Tottenham does to City. They kicked us out of, or they won the Community Shield, then they beat us again in the FA Cup. One of the big reasons for that is Gahey. Gahey's now on City. I think he shuts down Ekitike pretty handily.
I'm not going to lie. Gahey looked fantastic in the game. I know City didn't clean, but Gahey looked really good.
Yeah, he's great.
In that City game. Ekitike might get shut out. It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's honestly a really fair one.
It's only 1 week, right? Like, I think Ekitike is still fantastic in the long run, but I do think when we were talking starting lineup at the beginning of this, I think that's certainly something to consider.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously
I'm sorry. I do actually have one last question. Are you confident in your bench? Because didn't Ekitike come off injured right at the end of the Liverpool game? Like, we haven't talked about that, but I'm fairly certain he was injured.
I didn't catch that.
He's always sore.
He's always something.
SARS or whatever, that was muscle soreness. I think he'll man up. We don't have another. What are we going to put Chiesa out there? Slot hates him.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, that was an aside.
No, I think
looking. Yes, it does have that labeled. It doesn't say anything about
FPL app though, right?
No, just in FOTMob, it's got that like plus sign. So, but I haven't seen anything like. I was watching the game. I must have missed that part when he came off.
If we haven't heard about it, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Yeah, but that's a good call, and I'll keep updated on press conferences and whatnot. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, obviously, we've all shown who our captains are. Mac, I'm forgetting. Who did you have? Did you have Bruno?
Well, who I intend to have and who I do have are different conversations. No, I actually hadn't really decided on one. I'm curious to hear your guys' perspective.
Okay, I wanted to touch on this. So I will say Arsenal 56% clean sheet odds is incredibly high, like super fucking high. So this could be a little cheeky Gabriel captaincy week. Highest projected goals is also Arsenal. I don't think there's anyone on Arsenal's attack that I would be comfortable captaining. The kings of the own goal. Second in projected goals is United. Third is Chelsea. So I think you could argue for a João Pedro. I think you could argue for a Bruno or a Bumo or whoever you wanted on United. And then, as always, you have Sir Erling Haaland.
We're going away from Haaland, I think, for sure.
Okay. But, like, Liverpool don't clean, ever. They really don't. So that's I'm like, I hear you on like this is one of the better sides they're going to see, and Haaland has been blanking at a relatively high rate. But Liverpool, they don't scare me.
I don't think it's going to come from Haaland, and I say that because you have imposing Van Dijk to go against him, where most of the time he gets to take advantage of any center back he faces. I think it's going to come from those around him this week.
Semenyo.
Probably.
Or like, second question, Liverpool don't clean, but neither do Wolves. So that opens up the door to João Pedro. Tottenham at home isn't great either.
Yeah, I think for me, I understand. I think everyone that Luke pretty much mentioned from a Bruno, like from an attacking perspective, I would not go Haaland. I think it is a great week to fade him.
Mhm.
I am on JP this week for his last 3 games, the form he's in, and they are playing Wolves. Like, that's nice.
I don't say this to be a dick, but like, do you not worry about him getting benched at all? He did play the full game 2 days ago against Arsenal.
Yeah, but he only
Or was that
played
yesterday? Yesterday.
less than a half game last week. Like,
True.
he kind of did get that rest, and we saw what happens when him and his buddies are not playing.
Yeah, that's true.
So that also leads me to believe that, he's going to be a little less aggressive with the amount of rest that he's going to give, and I don't think JP is going to be the first on that.
I just wonder if against a team like Wolves, they take their foot off the gas a little. Like Wolves just sold Strand Larson. Like they don't have anybody left. They're done. They're calling it.
I get it. But they're done. They're terrible.
Yeah.
JP and Chelsea are scoring.
Yeah, and it could be he plays like 60 minutes or something, and even then he might be.
I was going to say he
really
can play
solid.
less than 45 and put up 10.
You guys think
So-
there's any truth to this Wolves uptick in form? I feel like they've been showing a little bit of teeth. This isn't enough.
Defensively, yeah, they've been doing a lot better, and so like that's something that went into my consideration when Haaland was playing Wolves, and I ended up going Akatika. It didn't fucking matter because neither of them played, but yeah, I think though, like this is like a sabermetric, but like them selling Strand Larson, I'm kind of like, don't you think that would just kill the morale for you if you're a Wolves player? Like you're like, all right, we're like management's packing it in.
Yeah. I also feel like if Wolves got relegated, Trent Larson would be cheaper in the summer. So it feels like an overpay. But from
Sure.
macro,
No, I'm not saying management made a bad choice. I'm just saying
Sorry,
like, if you're a player, wouldn't you be less bought in?
yeah, I strayed outside of the realm of FPL. No, I agree. I definitely think I'd be less bought in.
I don't know. I look at it like NFL players and the 1 in 15 teams. They're still going out trying to win that last game because all they care about is their contract and their worth in the view of the world. And like I think every professional athlete, in a sense, should be that way. So
Yeah.
That's
I don't know
if
if that
you
would-
know you're going down, you're probably trying to prove yourself for a move, right?
correct. Do I think Bruno's totally fair though? I get why you have a chip on him. Gabriel's a great shout. I might consider him a little more.
You guys
I
think
might
about
honestly give it a
Gabby
look.
at all as captain for the double Arsenal?
Yeah.
So
He's locked in for me right now.
something we didn't talk about there with the double is also that opens the door for a triple captaincy, and whether it's Gabby or somebody else, but like the reason that's actually especially pertinent is because the next set of doubles isn't in theory until 33, I believe. So you're at the end of the season at that point where they're like Haaland could double there, but it also could be that City's like completely out of the running for the title and they're resting Haaland for a Champions League final or some shit. That's obviously like a ifs and buts to get you there, but it may be that this is actually the best opportunity for a triple captaincy. I think it's interesting though that it is Arsenal because fucking who are you going to captain from their attack? Obviously you can't go with Saka. Suppose you could go with Rice, but that just feels like the most mid triple captaincy I've ever heard in my life.
The Rice captain of this past week was not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, for sure. But they do play Brentford and Wolves. Like, and
The
I will
the only reason that I think I would stray away from the triple captain, and we'll see, right, is there any risk of like rotating with how bad those guys are, having to play the double, like all of those things and the amount of games that are just occurring?
They
And
actually
that's
have a
why-
game between the double too. I think they have like a
Do they
cup
really?
game. Yeah.
Jesus. Well,
Because
but that
they're
would be
still in
reason
the
to go to
care
Gabriel,
about and
right?
everything. I mean, theoretically, right? He's not getting. He's probably not. But again, you're
Triple
playing
cap
like
Raya.
Wolves, and you just had Saliba and Hincapie and Mascara like rotate out previously. Like, do you just sit Gabriel for one of them and be like, "Sorry, dude. Like, can you?"
I will also say, like, I didn't touch on this when you were talking about your transfer plans, but you were saying you're going to bring in Timber.
Yeah.
I do worry actually about him, the viability of him playing both those games. And this is not Raya propaganda, but like the benefit of Raya in that sense is that he's going to play. So the upside isn't there, but also the downside of like potentially getting a 0 isn't there.
That's why I went back to Raya on my wild card. I felt like Timber really made his name for himself early in the season when he was scoring a ton of headers, which have dried up. he doesn't DEFCON. So now you're looking at a 6 from Rye or a 6 from Timber. I don't know.
No, I hear both of you guys. I just think that whole thing, like, I still think Timber has more of a threat to go higher than that. So I still feel like, right? Like, I understand what you're saying.
No, sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm just realizing this is your.
This is my new bus team.
Anderson. I was like, what are we looking at right now?
Yeah. So
did you already make the move?
Yeah, I did it.
You took the hit?
I took the hit.
Oh my god, it meant nothing. Why did we talk about it for 20 minutes?
Dude, you spent so. You could have just been like, I've made my mind up. Shut up.
I hadn't, and then we talked about it, and then I did.
And then you heard us saying, "Don't do that," and you were like, "I like this idea."
Yeah, pretty much. It just started to make more sense in my brain, so I was like, "Yeah, great, love it." I think Timber just has more upside to him, obviously, and I have a lot of faith in both of these goalies to be able to rotate and find a great matchup each week. So
no, I mean, I don't even know why the fuck we're talking about this. I was saying this to give you some food for thought before you transferred in Timber. So yeah, we can pass on this. Yeah,
no, okay. So my question then is, who would you bench out of this? Obviously, you're kicking around Wilson for players that are better than what I have in my attack. So
you're gonna hate my answer.
Yeah, well, Barry's staying in. So next one.
Anderson.
Absolutely not.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all. I think you bench Barry.
Yeah. I would fully understand a Barry argument. I would.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly, it probably is Barry. But like, I think Anderson is second worst, which is why I'm like, I understand the 4-point floor thing, but like, Rogers, dude doesn't get any attacking returns ever.
Rogers would be the next one I would look at.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, Barry doesn't have a floor of 4 points either. Neither does Wilson, though, I guess. So I would argue for benching Barry over Anderson.
I fully understand that.
What did he get? Did he get bonus points over the weekend? Oh, that's what it was.
Also, why are we so out on Wilson this week? Everton, we've all said that Everton's defense has gotten worse.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm in.
I don't think we've said. I mean, we have said it. I get it.
I've said it. I've definitely said it.
However, I still think the last two ways that they gave up, that they lost their cleans, like one was in the 95th minute. Like that's fucking bullshit.
I don't disagree.
And my
would have liked to keep Tark for sure on the wild card. It's just that their fixtures are horrible coming up.
I get it, right? But they're on the chopping block in the near future for sure. Like Barry absolutely is. He's going to be gone very soon. But Tark with the DEFCONs, with the amount of headers that he has put so damn close to the goal, one of them's going to go in. Like it has to.
That's a fair shout for sure.
Fourth highest scoring defender, 1 point behind Timber.
Let's see. Everton in terms of XGC are fourth worst.
I don't think it's going to come from Wilson if it comes.
That's between Bournemouth and Forest.
I mean, you're looking at like marginal gains at this point, realistically. Just go with your heart. We're bad at this game. You can just play.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we say regardless, right? Like, and of course, we say all this. Timber's going to score a header. Anderson's going to score his first fucking goal of the season. And Wilson's going to break his leg. So it's, like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy. I'd be all right with that.
No, I do think realistically it's Wilson for Barry. Like, I think just bench Barry.
I think that's fair. I think
because he's not even, again, didn't it happen, right? Like, he got pulled again, and then it was Beto who actually scored this week. So
that's true.
Like,
that's what happened.
That's where they switch off scoring. So
no, I know, but
turn next week.
At least Wilson and Anderson play the whole game.
No, I hear you. That's fair. I think that's a very reasonable play, and I might do it.
No, I thought you were captaining Barry. That was where you started at the beginning of this pod. So I'm not understanding the logical flow here.
I'm just trying to listen to you guys, you know.
We've devolved. Yeah, I'm captaining Bruno right now, but honestly, I'm going to look at Gabriel as a shot.
I have it on Joe Pager right now.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I expect that kind of play out of Sharpe, but I don't expect that out of you. I think it's fair though. I do think it's fair.
You expect someone 5 times higher than you, not just 50% higher than you?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Good call.
No, but I just mean in the sense of like he could potentially get rotated. He was Mr. XG merchant or like overperformer for first half of the season. Like, I don't know.
I just don't think that United aren't overperforming. United are also overperforming. Spurs is a better team than Wolves. based on table position alone.
This is true.
It's
That's the
closer
best
than I'd like it
fixture.
to be, though.
For sure.
It's just a better fixture. And João Pedro's hot. I mean, Fernandez is hot too. It's not a fair argument, I guess. But
I'm not glued to the Bruno captaincy. He
Wait,
feels like a
what?
Mr. Consistent, right? Like obviously he's been doing really well lately, but like he feels like just a Mr. Consistent of like he'll probably get an assist and maybe some DEFCON, and I'll be like sick. It doesn't feel that.
Underestimating the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. That's your first mistake.
That's probably true. But I don't think I can get myself to captain Enzo. I don't think I can get myself to captain Bowen. If I had João Pedro, maybe I'd think about it, but I just don't.
Oh god, I'm definitely not captaining Enzo. No, I agree. He's an XG merchant even as an owner. I was so lucky in this last game.
So it's really between Bruno, Haaland, and Gabriel for me. I am still considering Haaland just because he's got that dog in him, but that's not here nor there. Got that robot in him.
All right. Longest pod ever, probably.
Yeah, probably. I can't wait to see the runtime. Have a good one, everyone. Fucking sorry for keeping you here all this time.
Peace.